welcome to Cosmic Blueprints. Just waiting for Tony Z to get on the board. In the meantime, you'll have to put up with me. Hi, host Kate of Gaia. Welcome to the show. Going to be a humdinger of a show tonight. I know that. Hopefully not like last night, but anyway, you know what I mean. I know we have lots and lots and lots of regular listeners. I know that because you tagged me all through the show, so it's quite wonderful. Anyway, tonight we have showing up with us. You guys are gonna love this show. Good, excellent. Just checking here. We have Rick Simpson, trader, author, Run from the Cure, and Louis Montague. And like I said, we're just waiting for Tony to show up. I just want to welcome you guys to the show. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Good to be with you, brother.
Well,
it's actually a pleasure, Kate. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. It's actually sister, but that's okay. The voice throws everybody off. It's the booze.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, you're Kate.
I'm Kate. I'm the mouth.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kate.
No, that's okay. No worries. No, I'm the mouthiest tranny on the web. It's all good. I got over me a long time ago, so I try to help people get over that too. So it's all good.
See, I got this habit. I call everybody brother.
That's
even
good.
sisters,
Right.
I call them brother.
Hey, you know what though? It works for me both ways, right? Like I tell everyone, I'm a walking three-way. Get over it. Yeah, I take myself very seriously. Oh, Tony's on the board. Here we go. Just a sec. Let's bring him in and get him up to speed. And it's just, this is going to be a good one tonight, I know, because we're all on the same page. Not just the same book. We're actually on the same line, probably on the same word, very close to the same, full stop. Anyway, there you go. Tony, how are you?
Hey, guess what? We've all written a book on it, no?
Exactly.
So, yeah. It's going to be one belter of a show tonight, guys. I have the honour and the privilege to be joined by two excellent people tonight. We have with us Rick Simpson, I believe Kate's just introduced, but I wouldn't know because I had 7 attempts at signing in and the bastard wouldn't let me come in. But anyway, point being, we've got Rick Simpson with us this evening and Louis Montague. Rick, obviously, people know well for the cancer situation with cannabis oil, and Louis. Louis can speak for himself, but he's, I believe I'm not sure. What's your title, Louis?
Well, technically, it's the Secretary General, but don't hold me to that. Of the Natural World Organization.
Exactly, that's not the New World Order.
And please note the initials. That's right, NWO. We hijacked them from those other bastards.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all about natural situations, not total control grids, which is what this program's all about, which is bringing the truth out to the people that really do need to know. Yeah. So we've got two of the best guys to do that with us tonight. So what I will do is, I think the best thing is if I let Rick have a quick chat about what he's looking at the moment and what he's proposing, who he is, and a very brief intro about what he's doing, and then we'll move on to do the same with Lewis, if that's all right with you guys.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing Rick, for sure, absolutely.
Well, the simple thing is, many years ago, back in 2003, I brought it to the attention of the Canadian government that, the essential oil of the cannabis plant is a wonderful medicine that can heal cancer and practically all other illnesses. But the government, they didn't react in the proper way. They persecuted me, even though I did it in a very open manner. I never hid nothing. But the Canadian government chose to persecute me, and I went through a kangaroo court case here, and I seen the corruption right here within my own country. And, and as time went on, well, I wound up being stranded in Europe for 3 years, and basically I seen more or less the same corruption in all these countries. I honestly believe that, a great number of these countries in Europe, they don't even know why they have a law against hemp. Yeah. We were doing a show here the other night, and a fellow said to me, he said, well, our country has, international treaties and things with other countries so that, they have to comply with this no cannabis rule. And I said to him, well, okay, but look at these other countries. They have the same rules, the same nonsense. But, all you have to do is look at who's putting these rules in place. And the minute you do that, it leads you right back to the big money. It's not our governments. They're corrupted, of course. Yeah, they're bought and paid for. But it leads you right back to the people who are really running this earth. And that's the big banking families, the big money people. And they have no right to be doing what they're doing to us. And, we do have a wonderful natural cure here that is non-addictive, harmless, and it is, truly. I mean, I know people don't understand this. It took me a while. I mean, I couldn't believe, when I started passing this medicine out to people, I just couldn't believe what I was witnessing. This stuff was healing everything. And, I really thought back in 2003 that the Canadian government would stand up for the Canadian people, and within 6 months or so that we would be producing this medicine. But, man, I'll tell you, it was a rude awakening. And it's actually left me, I love Canada. It's my homeland. But I can't live in this country anymore. I'm going to go elsewhere to live. I just can't live under this type of tyranny. And these people, like the Canadian government, all of these political parties in Canada, they're nothing more than a pack of criminals. That's the simple truth.
Well, exactly, Rick. I'm going to back you up a little bit on some truth that you're sharing with people from personal experience. My dad passed away in 2011, 7 months after being diagnosed with. He was in 4th stage. He had cancer in the liver, lower lungs, and it was in the rib cage. So it was when you get into 4th stage territory, you're days to weeks kind of land. And as soon as I found out, of course, I was always the last one to know about anything in the family. So as soon as I found out, I went and contacted one of my friends who was able to get me the purest hemp oil made under very stringent medical. He was actually licensed as a cannabis grower and for the government anyway, and he never sold any of this stuff. Never sold it. It was always given away. So don't mind the trains, guys. This is normal. We got a Toyota plant nearby here. But anyway, as soon as I found out, I managed to. It took me a few days, but I managed to get 1 ounce of the hemp oil, pure, like amazing stuff. Anyway, I got him on that with a tablespoon of sodium bicarbonate per day, 1 drop of hemp oil, and a shot of colloidal silver, 66 parts per million, pure. Like another friend of mine manufactured it. Anyway, he went in. I got him on that. He was on it for about a week and a half, and he had to go in to get checked. Before they got under the chemical poisoning routine. You can't convince people otherwise. So you just do what you can. Anyway, I got him on this. Week and a half later, he went in for his checkup, and it was already in full remission.
Yeah.
Full. I'm not talking. It was abating a little bit. It was in full remission. Like, they were astonished. They didn't know what was going on. But I said, well, we'll put you on chemo anyway. It took them 7 months to kill my dad with chemo and radiation. It was radiation that eventually did him in.
God.
Because people don't listen. So here they witness it in front of their very eyes. And this is the medical practitioners that have been duped even more than our corrupt governments. And I'm well versed, by the way, Rick, in dealing with the Canadian. You can't call them government. You might as well call them the mafioso.
They're worse than any mafia could ever even dream of being.
Exactly. At least in the mafia, they have honor.
Yeah, there is some honor. There's no honor in the Canadian government.
No,
or in most governments.
Well, they're a bunch of pedophiles. We have all those records too, by the way, and we get those out on a regular basis. So if you've never heard any of our shows, this is an old bullshit. Let's get her done. Truth on the air. That's why I have a disclaimer. That lets me fly full bore.
Good. Well, that's the kind of things that people need to hear. They need to hear the damn truth. And you go to the mainstream media, all you hear is gobbledygook. They don't tell us a damn thing. Because, of course, mainstream media is all controlled by the mega rich, too. So they only let us know what they want us to hear. And, that's a really sad situation. Because, when I was brought up, I was told that there's supposed to be truth in journalism. Well, I have yet to see it. If there's any truth out there, it's damn well hidden. That's the reason I took my case, to the people. And if it wasn't for the Internet, we couldn't be doing any of this, because it really is the only way that we can get the truth out to the public.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to point out as well, Lewis has done a lot of activism in this field as well. We mentioned earlier on Dark City that the fact of the matter was that there's this thing called the 1939 Cancer Act.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lewis has looked at great lengths into this, so I wonder if you want to give us a bit of information on that one.
Well, there's not a lot to say, except it's an old act. It shouldn't be here. It now has one function, and that is to protect the pharmaceutical industry in conjunction with the medical stuff. I mean, they know what it's doing. All you guys are all saying the same thing, and it's great because, as you said at the beginning, Kate, we're all of the same mind here. And it's frustrating, and you have all the listeners out there, and they're going to enjoy this. But I just wonder how many of the listeners are already with us, in tune with us. The problem is,
all of them.
Rick has found out that we talk to the same people all the time. We've got to find ways to get beyond that and really encourage the masses to get involved in this and to find ways to communicate. Rick's going out on the road, I believe. Is that right, Rick? You're going out around the Europe areas.
Well, that's about all I've been doing for the last 3 years. I mean, over the last 3 years, I've been in 20 different countries.
Right. Yeah.
You know, at present, I'm here in Canada, but I'll be leaving, I expect, within the next 3 to 4 weeks, and I'll be coming back to Europe, and I have some meetings there. There's a political movement in Croatia called the Green List that I have to have some meetings with. There might be something good happening there, because I've been in Croatia several times, and it's the only country in Europe that ever put me on national television. And when I went on the air, it had a big impact. So you know, something good might happen there. But right now, I'm strongly looking at Uruguay, because you know, they're passing laws down there. Well, from what I understand, in Uruguay, there's never been a law against hemp. If I had known that 10 years ago, that's where I would have been. But now they are putting regulations in place. But apparently, from what I understand, they're allowing everyone to grow 6 plants for personal use. Well, in a climate like Uruguay, which is very close to like a Mediterranean climate, I mean, you can grow huge plants. You know, 1 pound, 2 pound plants, no problem. So I think Uruguay has a lot to offer. And from what I understand, their government is supposed to be one of the least corrupted governments on this planet. So something good could happen there. And, you know, and all we need is, you know, we just need one country to open the door. And the minute we start healing people with this oil, the rest of the countries on this planet will just fall like dominoes. You know, because this oil will sweep the planet. It'll be a wave of healing like the human race has never seen before.
Yeah.
You know, but it'll be a wonderful thing.
But the problem is, Rick, I understand what you are saying and I follow your sentiments, but we're up against some massive organisations here and governments and interested parties, and they're certainly not going to just stand back and let this happen. This is what we're up against now, isn't it? I mean, my organisation stands for global transparency and accountability, and I think the way we're going to have to do it eventually is to go for the individuals, because when you hear all these amazing reports coming out of the FDA, the MHRA, and other organisations, and Monsanto, we need to question or ask or show very clearly all the time who the hell made this decision, because those organisations do not make decisions. People make decisions. And we need to get at the people. We need to expose them big time. We need to really, you know, we are looking at very strongly here in the UK the private criminal prosecution, and this is going to be a way forward, attacking these people as individuals. And I also think we should be going for the middle management in these organisations and agencies as well. Scare them to death, put them on notice that accountability is the name of the game. And if they don't start looking at this stuff now, we will be there. The people will come after them eventually. We've got to find a big, strong way to do this. And there's so much out there for cancer. And of course, the oil is just amazing stuff. But the problem is there are many, many other options as well. And it's very confusing for the layperson. They have too much information. It's the same old story. They cannot make a decision. They've got to pay for this stuff invariably. Some of it's expensive, some isn't, but it's still a problem that people don't have enough information. Now, I talk to oncologists and other doctors about this and try and get information out of them. We research fatalities here in the UK. And, you know, just trying to get out of the various oncology associations, the figures. We know the deaths because we research fatalities, so I know how many people die of cancer. But trying to get specific information out in terms of how many people are treated with certain of the drugs, how many survive 5 and 10 years. This is information that we just cannot get. We need a database. But, you know, it also applies to our side of the industry, the natural treatment side of the industry. We don't have enough information. And one of the reasons we started our organization, along with people like Richard Cumbers and Tony Hughes, is that we're too fragmented. You know, we have a lot of great people out there, and Rick is a prime example of that, of doing great things with health and cancer. But he's alone half the time, or most of the time.
Hey,
we need to come together.
Lewis, I'm going to speak for the come together part of it, because this is one of the things, this is my job. Yeah. And what I see happening more and more and more every day is exactly what you were speaking of in connecting people all over the planet. We're not as fragmented as we were 6 months ago.
Sure.
I am
long way to go.
Well, we're actually a lot further along than people realize. I'm trying to put into this what I'm seeing from my perspective, which is communications. That's what I do, and I'm in touch with thousands and thousands of people, literally daily. And the message is getting through. The masses are awakening, and one of the things that I need you guys to understand with the listeners that are tuned in right now, they're tuned in. And I'm talking tuned in. So it's not a matter of trying to, convince someone that cancer cannabis is a cure for cancer. No. It's what do we need to do to get that into place? What can we do individually? And individually, we become the collective. So this is already like tsunami right now. So I need you to instill that into your consciousness, because it is much bigger. I'll give you. Rick was saying about Uruguay. All it would take is for Uruguay to see the quote vast profits, if you want to go in that realm. I don't play in the commerce, but that would come into Uruguay once they start. People can go to Uruguay to get cured of cancer, because a typical cure in the U.S. is going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars based on the chemo and radiation, where they can go to Uruguay and say for $10,000 or $15,000, $20,000 be completely cured of it. I think that option would be a lot more appealing to people. And you want to talk about a tourist attraction?
Exactly.
Well, those numbers really don't appeal to me, brother. $20,000 for an oil treatment, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
I was just using it as an analogy.
I understand, but the simple truth is here. Even back in the 1800s, when all the pharmaceutical companies in that era, they were all producing cannabis-based medicines. If just one of them had done the right thing and made the essential oil of this plant available, they could have grew it on a grand scale, because this medicine is so cheap to produce. My God, you can make a full cancer treatment for less than $200.
1933, cannabis or hemp was to be the first $1 billion crop before William Randolph Hearst and the DuPont family got their mitts into it and created the law that made hemp illegal. So it's a known fact. I mean, you can grow your own cure.
Well, this is what gets me too. I mean, back when they put these absurd laws in place, the pharmaceutical industry had been supplying hemp-based medicines since the mid-1850s. And, here it is, 1930s, and yet when they put these laws in place against the medicinal use of cannabis in the United States, I don't know of any pharmaceutical that even lodged a complaint. None of these companies lodged a complaint. Now, if you're a pharmaceutical company and you're producing a medicine and your government is trying to stop you, you're going to raise a stink about it, aren't you? So that told me right there that the pharmaceutical industry wanted this plant gone. Yeah, because it was a threat.
You can't patent a natural growing substance. That's why. There's no money in the cure. There's only money in what do they call that, treatments. So we're all on the same page here, Rick. No question. So here's a suggestion that came to me a little while ago, and you'll probably love this one. And there's a lot of people that are doing this, literally, is getting big wads of hemp seed. I forget how she said to put it together, but anyway, they make seed grenades. And they just walk out and launch these things. You plant them in the city planters. Plant them everywhere you can go. Just pockets of seeds. Make this plant so available everywhere. This is what happens is you get these grow ops right? Which centralize it, and that's putting all your eggs in the same basket. So what we're saying is, well, make the basket the world.
Well, I mean, what I've suggested, there's many countries in Europe, like the Czech Republic, where you can readily get your hands on, as many kilos of hemp seeds as you want. But, I mean, they're industrial hemp. But, of course, the police and the governments, they don't know the difference anyway, because, you got to walk right up to the plant before you can tell it doesn't have much resin on it. So I think it would be an absolutely wonderful way to drive the government and the police crazy. Plant it everywhere.
Thank you. That's the game. And we
good idea. Yeah.
Well, standard operating procedure is pick off the leaders, right?
Right.
So we are now a leaderless movement. Good luck with that. And now what we do is we decentralize cannabis growing, and we put it back everywhere on the planet where it belongs and where it can grow. Yeah, if they want to go down every single highway and have to pick every seed or every plant, well, great, that keeps them busy, and there's no money in that. With cops and all the rest of it, it's all about the money, bonds, and the rest of it. So there's nothing to do with law there. So keep them busy.
And
turn them into gardeners.
Every plant that actually succeeds on going full term will drop thousands of seeds in itself.
That's right. Rick, what's the story with the industrial hemp? Is that of any use at all in terms of what we're looking for, this oil from the hemp?
Well, surprisingly, there are some strains of industrial hemp that will make good medicine.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Croatia, about 2 years ago, and a fellow brought some material to me and asked me if I would make the oil for him, or show him how to do it. And when I looked at the material he had, I just shook my head. I said, "My God, this is garbage." And he said, "Well, it's just industrial hemp." So I told him, I said, I tried to make oil with industrial hemp here in Canada a couple times, but it was just trash. It was mostly chlorophyll. Yeah. But I had about 400 grams of starting material that he had provided, and when we finished up, we wound up with about 12. We only got about 12 grams of oil out of this 400 grams of material. Yeah. But I'm telling you, that oil would knock you right on your ass. It was super strong. So there are strains that really don't have that much resin, but I think honestly I do believe that some of these strains actually could cure cancer too. Right. But the only problem is you're not going to get much oil out of these strains. Instead of needing 1 pound to make 60 grams, you might need 5 pounds of these lower grade oil or lower grade strains to do the same. But I put my faith in the strongest medicinal strains available. Why mess around with garbage? Industrial hemp is industrial hemp. We're looking for medicine. So why don't we just grow the best strains?
But of course, in the UK, and it may well be the same in other countries, it's now within the law to grow, of course, hemp. But it's industrial hemp.
Well, here's the difference between me and most people. I'm sorry, but I don't see where man-made law supersedes creator, natural law, and I don't follow any of... listen, and I keep bringing this up, I spent 28 days in solitary proving that they don't follow their laws, so why should we?
Yeah. Well, I understand what you're saying, Kay, but it's easier said than done. We are up against authorities, we fight them wherever we can. It's all about the critical mass thing again, isn't it? We need people to wake up.
Yeah, that's why you're
around the world.
And that's why you're on Critical Mass Radio, because this is the critical mass.
Yeah.
We have people actually, Ninja, one of our group, was it Ninja? I've got to go back. Anyway, just 1 second, in the room here. Anyway, just volunteers. What do you guys need?
Well, we need more people that are educated about this subject. Yeah. And this is what I've been trying to do for years now, and I know there's many others out there doing the same. But, at the present, we really have no representation. We have to represent ourselves. Yeah. So what I'm encouraging people to do is, get together, get like-minded people together, and don't go into your politician's office one at a time. Go in a dozen at a time.
Okay.
Demand that they start doing something, because if they don't, the next election they're not going to be there.
Well, the next election you don't vote anyway.
But, okay, absolutely, you go there to demand, but you've got to put them on notice. So we know who they are, we know what they can do and what they're not doing on behalf of the people. They need to know, we know who they are. And eventually accountability will happen.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere, because here's the difference between the normal radio station you might be on and this one is what we have are listeners that, what do you need? What do you need done? Here it is from Ninja. I have time if these guys need volunteers with their efforts, Kate. So you're talking to a wide awake audience here, guys. And I know you're not used to this, but I'm telling you, and I can't tell you strongly enough. What do you need done? It'll get done.
Well, I mean, it's just like I said, we need a huge public awareness campaign, and unfortunately, I mean, there's a lot of good documentaries out there about hemp, but I mean, I wish I had the money, because I'd produce a documentary that would hit them between the eyes so hard that they couldn't duck it. Show them the patient, show them the oil, show them what it does. But here in Canada, I had so much trouble years ago. Like, I couldn't even get the medical reports from the doctors. I had patients go to their doctors. I'll mention one case. I was treating a man with terminal lung cancer in Amherst, both lungs full of cancer. They sent him home, gave him three months to live. So, his son brought him right to his house, put him on the oil, and you could see the improvement every day. And this man was a smoker too, and he smoked 2 packages a day, all during the treatment. So at the end of 90 days, I mean, there was no question. His son seen the difference, because you could see the improvement. And after 90 days, his breathing was perfect. So, they took him in, and they tested him, and his breathing was right back up. His breathing had been down to 70%. And when they took him in and tested him, his breathing was right back to 100%. And then the doctor left the room, walked back in with the x-rays, and showed it to his son. And he said, nothing's changed. The cancer is still there. But his son was a little bit smarter than the doctor gave him credit for, because his son looked at the top of the x-ray and he seen the date. He said, this is the x-ray from before. He said, I want to see the x-ray you just took. The doctor got all red in the face. He walked out of the room, come back with the x-ray. There it was, both lungs cured, no cancer. But yet that doctor would not stand up. And when I was going through my court case, he went in to bring his medical history, or he tried to bring his medical history in. The doctors, they gave him a bunch of garbage, but they never gave him the x-rays. They never gave him anything to prove that this actually worked. So, I mean, that doctor, as far as I'm concerned, that doctor was the lowest form of life on this planet.
Well, given the Hippocratic Oath, the first line is do no harm.
Well, that's all they do.
I know, that's it. I mean, and I was thinking about this last night. Every doctor, nurse, medical practitioner that pushes one single pharmacological poison on someone is actually breaking their Hippocratic Oath, and they are guilty of, as far as I'm concerned, a felony. Done.
But they don't see that. They are indoctrinated to the nth degree. Doctors start off with good intentions, and they go to college to start the training for the 6 years or so. And I've seen surveys of those doctors in their first year, and especially surveys concerning the use of dyes and vitamins and minerals. And most doctors, in a 90%, will agree it's important for health. You did the same surveys 5 or 6 years on, and you're down to about 5%, because they've now been totally indoctrinated to the drug scene, and that's all they ever do. And I just think it's a shame. They've got to wake up somehow, and they need to be threatened.
How do you indoctrinate people to stupidity?
Well,
I don't make any excuses for these doctors. I mean, the bottom line is over 80% of oncologists, cancer doctors, will not take their own treatments. But they'll give it to us, won't they? Now, so nobody can sit there and tell me that these damn doctors don't know. I mean, when hundreds and hundreds of people die right in front of you, I think you would clue in that sooner or later that what you're doing isn't working.
Hear, hear.
You would think so, absolutely. Now, we prepared a letter we're going to send out to doctors, asking them to fill in this form with various questions. And in the essence, it's basically saying, look, all you have to do is tick this box. Are you stupid or corrupt? Which one is it?
Well, I've said right along, I mean, any doctor that does not support the use of cannabis in medicine is nothing but a quack. And he's a drug dealer for the pharmaceutical companies. That's all they are.
Yeah,
well, this is it. They get them so banned under all of the bills, it takes them, that when they go to the institutions in order to get trained in what drugs for what, and I do mean chemical drugs, they indoctrinate them into a process of just prescribing chemical crap, and they get them up to their ears in debt, so that if they even dare look at anything that's not on their list, they'll lose They'll lose the license. They'll be up to their ears in debt, and they'll lose the mortgages, the homes, and the cage that they've built around them.
Yeah, doctors and that whole quackery section. Well, listen, the psychic community murdered my mom, and the medical community murdered my dad. So, for me, it's a little personal, but more than that, I don't want to see it happen to anybody else. The bottom line is, let's call them what they are, shall we? They're murderers. They're murderers. They're murderers. They're no better than the military. If you are going out of your way to kill someone, that makes you a murderer. And if you do it knowingly, that's premeditated. So let's call it what it is, shall we?
Okay, we're absolutely right. But don't forget, once you start talking in that vein to members of the public who know nothing about this, you lost them immediately. It's a very difficult process to slowly educate, and that's what we're going to do, is educate people somehow. Or do it en masse, because at the end of the day, we all know that they have a choice with cancer. It's a synthetic drug, it's a synthetic medicine, or natural medicine. It's as simple as that. That's what they have to be asked, the question, and which one is it? So how do we get the message to the people? Well, surely maybe a large-scale trial. We've been talking to ministers of health in Africa, and we would like to, and we've been trying to organise for this last year. It's taking quite a lot of effort, but a massive trial of cancer patients in Africa. We've been talking to Kenya and others, and we're talking about 1,000 patients, and we also pushed into the equation AIDS and malaria, but cancer is the big issue for me. And, if we can do this on a big scale and bring in natural treatments, and not just the oil, I know oil is great and it may well be the only thing we need, but at the moment there are many other things as well which are as effective, possibly. So we need to test all these on a massive scale, so that we will call a meeting of ministers of health. We'll have a World Cancer Treatment Conference. And this evidence that we will produce en masse will be presented in that format, in that medium. They can't continue to ignore it if it comes at them on a big scale. Even the pharmaceuticals will struggle to fight this if we do it on a large enough scale. We're going to think like they do, go big. And as we said right at the beginning, Frank, I know you said, Kate, that you're not as fragmented as you think you are, but I really think we have a long way to go yet, but we're getting there slowly, but we have a long way to go.
Well,
absolutely.
Sitting in my position, because I'm getting, contacts from all over the world every day. And, I mean, there's not just England. I mean, there's a lot of people in many different countries up in arms over this issue. And, there's wellness centers in the United States and South America that are following my protocols, for God's sakes. And, I mean, even the American Cancer Institute recently admitted that, yes, cannabinoids are an effective cancer treatment. Yeah. So the mainstream media just won't go there. This is so sad. And and when I went on Dark City, I know one of the announcers there, he said, I'm about to introduce you to a man who's probably one of the best known people on this planet on the internet. But when it comes to the mainstream media, it's very rare that you hear my name. Yeah. And he said, now you're going to find out the reason why. And then I sat there and proceeded to show them the reason. It is all based in corruption, and it is such a sad situation. The way I look at adults, anybody, once the time you're grown up, you're old enough to make your own decisions. And I don't think, that anyone has the right to tell you what you have to use as a medicine, because it's your body, you have the right to determine what you want to use, I would think. No one has the right to step in and say, you must do this. But this is exactly what they're doing. And they're doing it, the worst of it is, but when we get older, we as adults, we have the choice. We can do chemo and radiation. But our children can't. And if our children, if we come to we don't want our children to have chemo, they will, here in Canada and the United States, they will come right into your home and take that child, take it to a hospital, and fill it full of chemo. And you have no right to even protest. This is beyond belief.
It is, yeah.
Well, hang on, Tony. that's where I came into the equation to show people how they were getting away with it, and this is what we have to break away first. And it's already been done, and it was all done through the bonds and slavery and birth certificates. And the only thing that gives them, quote, the right, unquote, to do anything to us and make their laws effective is if we're carrying their identification. No ID, no game. Another show, another time, but that is the basics. So they're only doing it because people are walking around with a willful contract called identification, committing fraud. And yeah, you might want to listen to a few other shows that we've done, guys, just to really fill you in on that.
Well, I know about the free man on the land thing.
That's caveman. Seriously. Compared to what we've done. You might have seen a video, Judge Bows to Sovereign?
I heard of it, but I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, well, that was me.
Oh, good. Okay, I'll watch it.
So I take no that was me in boy mode, actually. But anyway, I take no shit from anyone, and I have ran at the system from the Pope on down, Rothschilds, you name it. They stole my house last year, ripped my family apart, and what have you. So I'm speaking from experience here. And the only time you know you're really, and Rick, you can back this up 100%, the only time you know you're really getting somewhere is the amount of resistance that comes at you as a result of your truthful, honorable, peaceful, and loving actions to help and heal.
Well, I've met lots of resistance.
Yes, well, if you try to educate people to understand that if something is banned, you know it works. And that's the way we have to play the game. This band is good.
Okay, that's right. So we jump all over it. My rule is simple. Hey, listen, am I not a big enough clue? You know, sorry, guys. You tell me the government says go this direction, I go 180. It's simple.
Well, I mean, you know, because, well, when Jack Hare died, you know, it was his dying wish that the torch was to be passed to me. You know, but a lot of people think, you know, since I'm supposed to be the world leader of the hemp movement, you know, that I would be in favor of legalizing all drugs. Well, that is hardly the case. You know, legalize cannabis by all means. It should have never been made illegal in the first place. Yeah. But I mean, I don't want my kids exposed to all of these horrible, you know, pharmaceutical substances that are floating around our streets. I don't want them exposed to these hard drugs either. You know, so this business about legalizing all drugs, I think it's just nonsense.
Yeah, but
have you heard the news?
Those drugs out there as well. It's the government.
Yeah. But you heard the news today about the two laws passed last week in Washington, D.C., on the same day. The first law was to legalize the marriage of gays, and the second law passed on the same day was to legalize marijuana. And the great news there is in Leviticus in the Bible, it states very clearly that when a man shall lay with another man, they shall both be stoned. Well, we've interpreted that all these years. We thought throwing stones at them, and of course stones mean taking cannabis. It's fantastic.
Well, there you go. There's someone that actually gets the concept of what the Bible is really saying. It's all metaphor and allegorical with many layers of truth, 7 to be exact.
But governments won't even listen to their own advisors.
I just want to do a shout out quickly, Rick, for the LGBT community. That's part of my community. Anyone that's gay that wants to have a legal marriage needs to have a fucking head examined, okay? Because when you do that, you're giving it to the state, and every contract you make within that union that you have, you don't need a piece of paper to say you're married. Please, guys, you know, girls, get it together. Stop making contracts with church and state. Right.
I agree wholeheartedly, brother. You're absolutely correct. But, you know, like back in 1972, the SAFER Commission, Nixon called a group together, you know, to study cannabis. Well, the commission came back after they did the study, and they came back and they told Nixon to legalize it. And right here in Canada, the Ledane Commission told the Canadian government the same thing, as did the Canadian Senate. I think it was in 2002. The Senate told the Canadian government, legalize this stuff. But nobody is listening. You know, so really, you know, our world or our countries have been taken over by nothing more than little tin dictators, you know, that are working for the rich and, you know, powerful. And, you know, I mean, this is not freedom. This is not democracy. This is tyranny, for God's sakes. And anybody with a brain in their head can see it.
Well, but what do you do about it?
Well, it's easy.
Kate said people are said, what can we do? What can we do? And these are great questions, and we don't have the answers clearly on the big scale yet.
Well, a big part of the problem is, I think, is alcohol. Because I've noticed that over the years, there's so many people I've met that were drinkers, that look down their noses at people who smoke pot. And that's ridiculous. I mean, the fools are the ones that's drinking the poison booze, not the guy that's smoking a joint. But, these people they seem to feel that they have the right to criticize us, and they don't. Anybody that really sits down and looks into this, they can see the simple truth in what I'm saying. Booze is one of the most destructive substances on this planet, and we all know it. That's legal, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many people, people go out, they get drunk, they get in fights, they smash their cars up, they go home and beat up their wives. That's booze. People on cannabis do not do such things.
No.
We
all understand that. We know that. But the problem is, hemp all works, and that's the problem. And that's why it's been banned for all these years. It was affecting not only the oil industry, the medical industry, the steel industry, the road industry, and the paper industry. It was affecting everything, and of course it was banned, and that's the problem. Like so many other good things, B17, hypothermic, ozone, they're all banned, because they work, and people do not understand this. And I talk to people a lot, and I speak to cancer patients on a daily basis. And it's a family are some of the problems. You can get interest in a patient who has a cancer, and then in comes the family saying, no, you don't want to go down that route. You stay with the doctors. They've got nice white coats, and they know what they're talking about. And they are putting a pressure on the cancer patient. I see it on a daily basis. And when I hear these people say, you shouldn't be talking to our father like that, you're going to give him hope. And I say, pardon? You're going to give him hope. I say, so let me get this right. You're saying you shouldn't give him hope. He's been told by the doctors now he's got about 6 months to live, and he knows he's going to die, so he will die, as you know, because of that. And you don't want me to give him hope. Who's telling you? What are you saying? Let's talk about it. If for 6 months he believed I could help him to survive cancer and he died, what would you do about that? Or knowing for 6 months you're going to die? It's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Well,
but when I hear families say, yes, but you'll give the family false hope.
Oh, you know what? Here's the point, and this is a beautiful point to bring up, because one of the things I find talking with people, not so much now as I used to, but what people have to start doing is start changing negative talk. Instead of saying, we can't do this, or we don't do that, or we won't do this, and it's, no to this and no to that, what we need to do is change from the negative reinforcements, and these are, the realms I live in, these are critical. This is a mental universe. This is consciousness. So instead of using words like don't and won't and can't and should, all the rest of those words, I take them out of my vocabulary. Because what we do now, instead of saying no to not doing something, I say yes to doing that. So let's go.
Kate, I understand that, Kate, but we have to give people evidence.
Oh, no, I totally, I'm agreeing with you, Lewis, okay? Yeah. What I'm saying is we have to, as a collective, have to start changing the way we speak. Mm. And this is critical in communication. Sorry, Gemini, go figure. But
because it's the way the mind works.
It is. It's what you're triggering with people. We have the cure. There's no question. Rick has it. I know. I've seen it myself. And it's going to be things like this that are going to present that positive to people versus, you're absolutely right. Absolutely give people hope. As compared to what? Right. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Take brain out of skull, walk away,
Yeah. Well, I mean, all through the years, I've never made any claims that I was the one who found the cure for cancer. I think there's been many people that have found the same cure over the years, but the government was able to shut them up. The only thing that I can really claim is that really I'm the first one on this planet that I know of that's actually gone out and treated thousands of people and openly reported the results that I witnessed to the public, and told the public how to use this medicine properly. Because, they've been making high-quality hemp for decades. But the trouble is they were all smoking it. If you ingest the oil, that's when you see the magic. You're not going to get much from smoking a joint. It might relax you a bit, or it might kill a little bit, but it ain't going to cure your cancer.
Yeah. So what we need to do is to properly trial using the oil in a format that's acceptable to the world on a large scale. I come back to that. Let's get people out there on a scale that can be publicized in the right places to show the world that using hemp oil works. Now, I hate to ask the question on air, but what percentage? What are we talking about here? Do you have a database, Rick, that people can go and see and look at?
Well, I mean, you can't keep a database on this. When I was treating all those thousands of people in Canada, I didn't keep any records or hardly anything about it, because if the police come in and raided me, that would lead them right back to the patient. So how do you build up we build up a base like one patient at a time. Yeah. This is what I've said. When every second person on this planet knows how to cure their own cancer, how is the system going to stand against it?
Yeah, well, we can't. That's right. That is the answer, ultimately. But we're not there yet. So we need to get this information.
See, there's what, hey, Lewis, hang on. There's what I'm saying. But we're not there yet. Stop.
No theory.
Lewis,
I'm a realist. I need to get it done.
Lewis, oh please, hang on, Lewis. I totally agree with you. Just change the speak, seriously, because you're building this beautiful thing and then you take a hammer to it. You say these beautiful things and just blow it up. Stop. You're killing me here, man. We have the cure. We have the people. We have the reason. We have the tools. We have the purpose. We have the will. Let's go with that, shall we? Please. Oh, man.
I agree, brother. I think we're much closer to an end to this than most people realize. I mean, how long can this go on? For God's sake, everyone dying and suffering, and then they see their neighbors cured with a simple oil. There's no holding this back, and these governments know it. But the only problem is, where the governments are in bed with the big money, well, then they want the pharmaceutical industry to control this. Well, damn well, if the pharmaceutical industry gets their filthy hands on this medicine, you know what they're going to do. They're not going to give us, the most effective forms of the medicine. They're going to play games like they do with everything else. Yeah. But, the problem is with the pharmaceutical industry, they're going to attach a great big price tag to whatever they want to do or whatever they're supplying. And, the simple truth is, the poor people don't have the money to play their games. So what's going to happen? The whole world is in a pretty bad state right now, economically. So all of these poor people, rather than go through the medical system, they're just going to grow the plants and make their own medicine. And there's no damn way that any government can stop them.
Perfect. I love the answer. Now, here's a question I had in the room, thrown out to you guys. Experience with juicing cannabis.
Well, I think that's ridiculous. The problem is with juicing, if you take a full plant, take a full cannabis plant and you put it in a juicing machine, I'm not saying it probably would have beneficial effects to some degree. But, this plant detoxifies the earth that it's planted in. And those toxins are pulled up into the plant. So if you're juicing it, you're also ingesting these toxins. The resin itself that's on the bud material, the resin contains no toxins. So, that is, the resin is the medicine. So as far as I'm concerned, all that plant material, that's fine smoking, but, it's not needed. You just get the resin off the plant in the most efficient way possible, make the best medicine possible, and you've got a bowl full of magic.
Yeah. There it is. I love those pregnant pauses where that truth just sinks in. It's true. And the true answer here, guys, is take the blinders off as far as what any government says is legal or otherwise, because we're the only ones empowering it by thinking it is. Seed grenades, guys. That's it. Get the plants everywhere. Make it so impossible. Here's one of the things that came out of that so-called free man movement about, jamming paper terrorists is what they were calling them. And then that's fine. Let's be seed terrorists. Let's be cannabis terrorists and throw it everywhere. And also one other thing, and we've had Laura Ann Wood on a couple of times on the show, dealing with opiates, and that being the healing connection in the brain for people that have certain peptides missing that have been deliberately, beaten out of us through chemtrails, through genetically modified foods, through all sorts of different HARP, scalar wave, you name it. And poppies, just poppies. I mean, when you look at a government, I mean, here they are. They're doing better than Al Capone. What have they got? They've got the addictive drugs, tobacco. They have alcohol, bootlegging, okay, and they have the gambling, lotteries. These were the three things that every supposed law enforcement agent, go back to Prohibition, Al Capone days and what have you, trying to get rid of this stuff, and now they're the biggest pushers of it. And I'll tell you something else. You mentioned alcohol, probably the worst poison on this planet for brain cell destruction.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes. You know, I know I get questions all the time from people, you know, about solvents, and you know, I've been contacted by many who said, you know, well, if I was going to make that oil, I would only use food-grade alcohol. You know, and some of these people are chemists, for God's sakes. Yeah. And it seems that these people don't even realize that food-grade alcohol is poison, too. It's all poison. That's what alcohol is. It's a poison solvent.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's one of the very few things that can break through the cell walls in the brain. Absolutely. By the way, when you're making the hemp oil, hey, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about how people can start getting proactive with themselves. And I know I have a lot of listeners that can probably get their, you know, use hemp oil and whatever, but may not necessarily know how to make it. So how about you share that?
Well, first off, I would encourage anyone, you know, to go to our website, because all the information is there. You know, we told the public the types of cannabis they should be looking for, the strength, you know, how to produce the medicine properly, the instructions. It's very detailed. It's all there. And we also have all the dosage instructions, so you can use this medication properly. So, you know, but really, it's so simple. You know, this is the wonderful thing about this issue. You know, if it was complicated, I don't know how you'd ever get it out. I mean, when you can take a rice cooker and 1 pound of good hemp bud and a couple gallons of solvent and make your own cancer treatment right in your backyard, I mean, how hard is this? I mean, I've had women in their 80s that actually produced their own treatments and cured their own cancers. So this is something anyone can do.
I love it.
You know, and this is what's going to set us free, because when something is that simple to produce, you know, and you told the whole world how to do it, now how's the government going to put a stop to that?
That's the thing, but there's the fear factor that they've done such a beautiful job using media, like TV, magazines, radio, you name it, movies, Hollywood, to drive that fear home, and that is the true divide and conquer of getting people into the fear instead of into the proactive love and thing, you know, and that's what we've broken through. We have broken through on that level. People are finally putting aside the fear, and I know I work with countless people that are taking on the system in grand scale fashion, and it only takes one in an area, and that gets so what's the word I'm looking for? Contagious. You know, when people, this is the thing, and we had this discussion last night. It kind of went nowhere, but here's the point I was trying to make last night. When you get people focused on something. Where was I going now? Just 1,000 ideas going through my head here. When you get people focused on something to be proactive and to just to get busy doing, that fear abates. And you know, you're not going to go out of your way to change someone by telling them, no, that does not work, because that's where ego comes in. What you do is you go, well, fine, you know, truth doesn't require your belief, so I'm going to do this, and just observe. And then all of a sudden, instead of trying to, quote, convert people, you're actually using universal law of attraction. You're attracting the moths to your flame, and hopefully they get close enough that their wings get lit on fire and they go off and become a light of their own. And that's how we're doing this, and that's what I'm seeing in a tsunami around this world, listeners from all over this planet.
Yeah, the very early stages, you feel like a naughty boy in a sweet shop trying to pinch a packet of sweets, but then, you know, it gets easier and easier and easier the bigger steps you take. And it really does work that way. But you've got to start with a single step. Every journey starts with a single step. And you've got to make that, you know, right, I'm going to put some stickers out today. Right, I'm going to talk to somebody at the bush shelter. Right, I'm going to, you know, and you push yourself and push yourself and push yourself. And then it's, hey, you know, it gets easier and easier and easier.
Well, there was the young man that called in last night, Billy. Called in to say, yeah, I went out and I was putting out, you know, Tony Z and Santo Bonacci and Kate of Gaia posters on telephone poles. You know, it's not about the doing, the physical. It's about the intending and actually putting that intention. There's the mental. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere, because every crime in the system has to have intent. So every good thing in the system must have intent as well. So it's changing that intent instead of going, well, I'm not sure if I can do that, but I can do that. And then once you know, it's baby steps. You know. And it's so easy to explain. A lot of people that might be, well, I can't get rid of all of my ID and this and that. I don't want you to. What I want you to do is to do something that's going to give you the victory right away. And as soon as you get, do that 2 or 3 times, you get comfortable. Then you get bored with that, and then you want to play a higher level game. And then you take another step, and you go, well, that's easy. And then you keep doing that. And that's why there are people like us in this call right now that are working at the level we are, because we overcame all those early fears to say, screw this. It's to do this right and get this planet sorted out and turn it back into the beautiful Eden it's supposed to be.
Exactly. Let the Pentagon, the Vatican, and the Attorney General all know.
Well, years ago, Jack Hare, when he brought out his book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, he put an offer right on the back of that book. He said, anyone that can disprove anything that I am stating in this book will receive a $100,000 reward. No one ever took Jack up on it. And years ago, when I started doing this to help, get public attention, I offered right around the local area here. I offered a $10,000 reward to anyone that could prove anything I was telling them wasn't true. Not one person ever come at me. But it is a good way of getting attention.
It is, and that's one of the ways to go as well that we've been trying to look at. And that is law, and that is going to court. That is making them almost forces into court. And they don't want this. We have tried this by breaking some of the laws and be pushed. We've got to get this into the public domain, and one way is in court with these players.
But that's not easy to do. I mean, here in Canada, you can't even use a medical defense, for God's sakes. I had 10 patients ready to testify. Some of these patients had been terminal cancers. The court would not allow them on the stand. So that proved to me right there that the legal system in Canada did not want a cure for cancer. Well, these lawyers are filling their pockets off these hemp charges that people are facing.
That's all they're doing, Rick, and I proved that. There's my arena right there, and I will tell you how it all works inside out and backwards. And the legal system has got nothing to do with legal and lawful. It's all the bar society and filling their pockets with the money, well, actually it's not money, it's life force from our society, the ones that aren't in their little BAR.
Right.
How it works.
A guy called me years ago, and first thing he said to me, I'm a lawyer. And I said, well, I said, I don't think I even want to, I told him, I said, I don't even think I want to talk to you. He said, no, I'm a recovering lawyer.
Yeah, you know what? And that's the thing too, Rick, that we're seeing more and more, what we'll call recovering lawyers, ones that woke up to the nightmares in the system, and now they're working with us to tear it down.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we have a lot of doctors now jumping ship too. I mean, I get calls every day from the States from doctors in the U.S. They see the handwriting on the wall here. Yeah. And when this happens, they want to be on the right side of the fence, and they know.
Good news. That's good news.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's something else that everyone can do to be proactive. If you have a doctor or know of one, here's what you need to do: is you need to write them a little letter, and you better tell them that if you did in fact take a Hippocratic oath, please let it be known that if you are prescribed drugs, you are committing harm. 2, if you are injecting people with vaccinations, you are committing a crime. You are harming them. Hippocratic oath means do no harm. You are now.
Should we really have to be the ones to tell these medical professionals such a simple truth?
Yeah, absolutely. And the more the merrier, because as soon as they start realizing that they're losing their patients,
that's my point, isn't it? That's what I was saying. We need to correspond and deal with the individuals almost. We need to put them on notice. We know what they're doing.
Yep, absolutely.
And sooner or later, the public will have their revenge. I don't want to say that revenge. I don't want to be negative here. But they need to know they can't keep getting away with this stuff.
Perfect.
And we're letting them do it. The public is. And we need to tell the public, don't let them get away with it. And this is the reasons why. But we need to be giving people absolutely first-class information about all this stuff. And Rick's what he's done is unbelievable, and we need to get that documented in such a way we can get it in front of people all over the world as quickly as possible.
Well, I got to. This is an open forum, and anytime you guys need to voice and get some news and just get information out, this is an open platform. It's an open forum, and I don't have a door. I actually a general contractor. I removed my door years and years ago, so please feel free to walk in at any given time. And that's that. We do have another caller here just brought in, and I'd like to introduce you guys to Swan.
Hi there, everybody.
Swan, hello.
Hello there.
Swan's a special lady. How are you, Swan?
A lady swan. Good.
I'm good, thanks, Tony. How are you?
Not too bad at all. I'm loving the conversation. There's just so much of it. It's like, you know, I've got a ton of stuff to say, but I don't interrupt everybody because everybody's really talking some good stuff, you know?
I've come in rather late, so I might just listen in for a while and then put my hand up when I've caught up with everybody.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're talking about how do we get the message across to the people in the most effective and the quickest way. Because things have to move forward. As Rick says, it is time to really get this stuff into the public domain and forget about, and this is where we have Kate, we forget about the legalities. We've got to fight on that front as well. It's education as to what this natural treatments can do for cancer and how we can defend these people when they get caught up in the legal situation, because it's controlling it, it's holding it back. Because of the pharmaceuticals, you have these acts in the UK, and there are acts all over the place banning this, all these tremendous natural treatments.
Lewis,
yeah. Can
I give you a really easy solution as far as the courts are concerned?
Yes.
This is the way to stymie them, because, and I'll only take a couple of minutes on this. I talk about this all the time, but this is how you stymie them, and I know this to be something of a fact. And it goes back to that Judge Bows to Sovereign 2 years ago. I stymied the court when I presented the birth certificate across the bar. That made them run. And I'll tell you why it did. Because the birth certificate, and this is the only thing that people should carry. Everything else get rid of. And the only reason they carry it is not for identification, because it's not identification.
No.
Right? It never was. But you cannot get any identification without it, yeah?
That's
right.
Okay, so here's what a birth certificate is. It's actually, one, it's a death certificate. Two, it is an offer to contract. Yep. And what they have to do is, because it has nothing to do with you. The birth certificate is not you. That is a contract that was created with your mom and dad, and the state. So what happens when the birth certificate, the child's name is registered, that name is actually sold to the state. That's mom is fiduciary, dad is beneficiary. So people walking around saying I'm the beneficiary or executor and all that. Right? Give it up, okay? Because you're none of that. You're the fruit of everyone on this earth is the fruit of their parents' labor that was given away. Once you understand that you are the fruit of life, that you are the creator, now you know who you are. So here it is in a nutshell. If you carry only the birth certificate, especially in a court situation, the first thing that needs to be cleared up is the non-disclosure fraud against your parents at birth that aided and abetted them into making you commit fraud by using a document that was never fully explained to you. You see, because that document that is, quote, your birth certificate has nothing to do with you. And it's the only piece of paper, the only offer that the government has ever given anyone. Period. You will never get anything from the government other than that, unless you willfully go and get something from them and commit fraud in the process, because you're using a name that, one, isn't you, two, isn't yours. You might as well go cash a check from some that was made out to someone else. It's the same thing. It's fraud. It's check kiting. It's whatever you want to call it. So anyone that is going to court, they might want to consider this. Say, listen, no problem. The first thing I need to clear up, though, is the fraud that was committed against my parents, because this is the birth certificate that was an offer to contract, and if I use it, I'm committing fraud. Is it the court's wish to aid and abet me in committing fraud today?
Oh, that's a good point, brother. I like that one.
I'm in court a lot, so I do understand that. I was in court this week in the High Court with Veronica Chapman.
Veronica Chapman, one of my kindred. Yay, two spirits.
Absolutely. We were in court helping somebody in court with a massive injustice. Well, so I fully understand what you are saying, Kate, and I've seen that tried on many occasions, I won't say any more about that at the moment.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I've got a little document I'm going to slide into our chat that we have with us, and you can pass it along to everyone. It's called The Invocation of the Cross, which fully outlines the fraud. And it's a very short document. It's not big. And this is what I sent off in December. And the only thing I will carry is a copy of the government's offer to me for me to commit fraud, which I won't do. Because it says right on it, warning, not to be used for identification purposes. So I won't. But this is all the government ever gave me. So if you're looking for something from your government, here it is. And they can't use it. If they do, they commit fraud. So it turns the tables. That which got us into the quicksand will get us out. It's it's the hair of the dog that bit you. It is the long and short of it. Long form birth certificate, short form birth certificate. All these things mean something. So anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
Just for fun.
Well, I mean, I know when I was going through my Supreme Court case here in Nova Scotia, the judge that was sitting on that trial, his name was Felix Cashillon. And, he couldn't even look me in the eye.
Oh, I know that feeling.
I got mad there different times because it was so outrageous what they were doing, and and they knew it. And they couldn't keep me in my chair. There was one point there I got up and I told the judge, I said, before this is over, I said, you're the one that's going to be going to jail. And I remember one other point there, the prosecution had said something, and I come out of the chair, and the judge looked at me and he said, Mr. Simpson, you can't take this personally. And I looked at him and I said, take it personally. I said, due to those raids that the RCMP conducted at my home, thousands of people went without their medication, and a good number of them died. Do I take that personally? You're damn right I do. And the minute I said that, down went his head.
Yeah.
These people are criminals of the first
order.
Well,
and you nailed it, because I've heard it so many times. Well, it's nothing personal, it's just business, and that is what it is. And I wish people would listen. And I'll tell you, actually, it's kind of funny because yesterday was the anniversary of me walking out of the courtroom after tearing the heads off two judges and two prosecuting Crown to go to a third. And I will tell you, talk about special treatment. I was the only one in the courthouse that whole day for a major city that actually brought in everyone from 4 other major cities around, and I was the only one in the courtroom in that courthouse, the building that day. Yeah. And the first, I went up and down the first one. The second one was the best because the Crown prosecutor was named DeVos. I just wanted to say DeVille. Anyway, I just looked at him. I says, you know what? You guys know what you're doing here. You know you're committing a crime. You know that I'm a living being, that I have no joinder to that name whatsoever. And I looked at the Crown guy and I says, and look at you. You can't even look me in the fucking eye, you cowardly bastard. And I looked at the judge and I said the same thing. I said, the pair of you are fucking cowards, and you're doing harm to people, and you know it. And yes, you're right. The heads went down, and it's like, and then it had to close that one down to get to the third friggin' judge.
Well, I was talking to a lawyer one day there, and of course he was advising me and all this, and I could see right through them. And I blasted him, and I told him, I said, well, you're wrong in thinking that half the lawyers in Canada are making a living off hemp cases. And he looked at me, and you know what he said? He said, well, Rick, most lawyers are crooks. It really instills a lot of confidence in you when your own lawyer sits there and tells you that he's a damn crook.
Yeah.
They are pathetic.
And look what they go after, the creme de la creme of our youth. After them on these, trumped up hemp charges and whatever, and the other standard one they love to do is a cop punches someone in the face, and the one that got punched gets charged with assaulting a police officer because you somehow hurt his knuckles with your jaw.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a joke. But what I'm not kidding, guys. The birth certificate is the key. It got us into the trap, it will get us out, and what we have to do is turn the tables of the fraud. Because if you don't accept the offer, like if someone mails you a DVD offer and you didn't respond to it,
right?
Do you get the DVDs?
Nope.
No, you don't. So if you, by using identification that belongs to them, driver's license, whatever, you had to do that willfully. You had to go and get one of those. You had to go and get a passport using the birth certificate. So you had to go and commit fraud in order to get this stuff. So this is how everyone, for me, it was not about how the courts are in dishonor. Absolutely not, because, we know they're committing crimes day after day after day after day. It's how are we in dishonor that they can get away with on a universal scale. And that's the only thing that made sense to me, and that's why I went down that trail, and that's why I got attacked as hard as I did. They stole my house. Just don't go anywhere.
Oh, okay.
They might be it might reconnect all by itself. Yeah, it did. Okay, Tony, are you there? Hello, Tony.
Yeah, I'm here, Kate. Sorry about that.
No, I got bumped too. So don't worry. I don't know how long we were off. Maybe about 30 seconds there. I just want to make sure I've got Swan, Lewis, and Rick. All three there?
I'm here.
Because I heard two drop off. So 1 sec. Oh, I love when this happens. Anyway, carry on, you guys. I'm going to get everybody back in here.
Okay, brother. Or I'm sorry, Dean.
Oh, don't
keep calling her brother.
Don't worry, the voice screws it up. Just look at my picture. You'll get over it. It's all right.
The first time you meet me, you have my permission to kick me in the shins.
No. Find me a nice glass of de-alcoholized wine. I'll be fine.
Okay, that's good.
And Lewis, have we got you? I'm not hearing Lewis.
No, I don't think.
Okay, let me see.
I thought it was my end. I've dropped off about.
Oh, you know what?
Times.
Hang on. Let me get into the. Yeah, I got to drag in Swan. Come on. I hate when it does that. Okay.
When Skype works good, it usually works damn good. But when it starts working poorly, it can give you a lot of frustration.
Oh yeah, hugely. So we got Swan back. Just grabbing Lewis now. 1 sec. Carry on, guys.
Yeah, just saying. Especially on a crap computer, we need to get you a fucking decent PC.
They're not Lewis tonight.
Again.
Okay.
Somebody has firecrackers?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So they're not picking on Lewis. Here, I'll bring him up, and then unbelievable. Yeah, they did the popcorn for about 5-10 minutes in one night. So
yeah.
Oh,
they don't like us. I'm gonna try them again. Oh no. All right, Tony, can you text Lewis and let him know what's going on here? That we got popcorn action happening. I'm gonna keep trying to bring him in, but in the meantime, I'll tell you what. Let's pull Swan over and get Swan's take on some things here.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hey there. What would you like my take on?
Life. Something easy. Okay, good. We're back. Yes, thank you.
Did you catch what? Do you know of Rick Simpson's work, Swan?
No.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say yes. Okay. Well, Rick. All right. Let me give you the lowdown. Rick's been curing cancer for years with cannabis oils, and he's done some excellent work. I wrote a book, and I featured Rick in it, and his whole documentary and the instructions on how to manufacture this stuff and all sorts of other things. Rick is just a legend among guys that actually know what they're talking about, and they're very few and far between. But so cannabis can cure cancer, as well as many other things, from apricot kernels, bicarbonate of soda, MMS, all sorts of different things. But cannabis is one of the leading powerful powerhouses against this kind of stuff. So say hi to Rick.
Hello, Swan.
Hi, Rick. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you, dear. But the simple truth is, if what we were saying wasn't true, medical professionals would be calling into this show to defrock us now, wouldn't they? Now, why is it that none of them ever do? I've done hundreds of shows and interviews all over the planet. Not one person has ever come on the air to challenge me. Not one. So what does that tell you?
Well, it tells you that they don't want to threaten their own golf membership. They're the fact that they only have to work 2 or 3 days a week and keep elderly ladies waiting in the waiting rooms for hours on end because they can. The list goes on and on. And what you're dealing with there is a God complex, and the last thing a God wants to know is that they're not.
Well,
Kate,
I think it's more like a psychopathic complex because, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, psychopaths are running the planet, and then The leaders of our parties, they're just psychopaths too. And I mean, it's the governments that actually control our legal system, medical system. So they handpick the people that, become doctors, the people that become cops, and lawyers and all the rest of it, because, they have to be like-minded individuals who have a tendency towards corruption. It's that simple.
Yes. This is true, and we know this. And Kate, I love what you just said. I've been waiting to hear that word. And that's when I started jumping at the bit, God word. Because ultimately, I know I'm a reverend and a doctor, and I'm not a Bible-bashing Christian or any religion or bashing anything, but ultimately, we don't need any of these tools to heal ourselves, because when we establish our direct connection to that God force, the Creator, the Great Spirit, everything can be healed and is healed. I've done it many times without these tools.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not a big proponent of religion. I'm much more spiritual in nature.
Oh, you're in the right team, though. Don't worry. We're all on the same page there, too.
This is not, that's what I'm saying. This is not about religion. This is way beyond it. It's about connecting to source.
Yes. And you're a doctor by profession?
I'm a doctor of metaphysics. I have an MA in spiritual philosophy and a PhD in metaphysics.
Oh, okay. That's wonderful, dear. Wonderful. We need well-educated people.
And just to bring both of these worlds together, what we have with the hemp cure, this is to bridge where people that need the cure are to where they need the information that Swan has. What it does is where they don't have the will or the understanding that they are of who they really are. What this does is it gives them a physical tool in the meantime to get them into that headspace where we can take them even further, where they won't ever need it.
Totally. Crutches are good at times, as long as people know they're crutches and that they don't need to rely too long on crutches.
Well, I think it's just about time that the human race get up and walk for themselves.
And you're doing a great job, Rick, of giving the crutches out where they can. And this is the point I'm making. We need everybody at every level, from kindergarten to PhD, baby. And we've got them all listening on this show, and guests, myself included. Everybody is all walking at a different level, but we're all walking in the same direction. That's the good thing.
And oils are definitely one of the best tools that we can be using.
Well, Swan, when you become accustomed to what this oil really can do, I'm telling you, it's going to blow your mind, because it blew mine. I mean, I just could not believe what I was seeing. All of that, because, I worked in a hospital myself for 25 years, and I had many doctors that were friends of mine. And to come up with a word, if you said the word cure-all, they would just laugh at you. But,
well,
what they did is... Oh, there goes the popcorn. Oh, God.
Sorry about
Turn off the stove.
Hang on a second. I'm trying to do this now. There we go. Sorry, he just tried to call me back one-on-one, which I can't answer. So, Tony, can you just let him know that I'm going to keep trying to bring him in?
Yep.
Because we're just getting popcorn madness on him. Maybe if he can reboot on his end, that might be enough to disrupt. So get him to reboot on his end.
Yeah, I've tried to bring him in a couple of times, and for some reason it's not registering that he's actually online, and I don't know why.
Well, do you want to maybe give him the direct Skype in to the board?
Yeah. Okay.
We'll try it that way. We'll backdoor him.
I'm on it.
Hey guys, I just tuned into your oils. I like to measure frequencies, and the frequencies of your oils on my scale are 9.5 out of 10, which is pretty high.
Yes, it's very high.
Pun intended, I think.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing about this issue, that I don't understand. I lived through the 60s. God, everybody was getting high, for God's sakes, and it didn't harm anyone. So, why are people today so afraid? I've actually had many people come to my home that were terrified of the prospect that they might get high. But, if you use the medicine properly and follow the dosage instructions, I've had many people actually took the whole treatment, and they claimed that they never got high during it because, they took the time to build up their tolerance slowly. And this is what I encourage people to do. But, I mean, if you're at death's door, if you only got a couple weeks to live, well, don't mess around. Get on this oil, jump into it with both feet, because it's the only thing that can turn your condition around. And there is no such thing. I mean, a lot of people have called me and they said, well, my father's only been given 2 weeks to live. It's too late.
Never too late.
It's never too late. When you get around this oil, I mean, I had one guy in the Amherst hospital that was given 24 hours to live. His son walked into that hospital, asked the doctor to give him the oil. The doctor refused. His son went in and took a little piece of cracker and just loaded it with the oil. And his father was laying there dying with lung cancer, and he'd just taken a big overdose of chemo. He was swelled up like a balloon. And the very next day, that man left the hospital.
Oh, very cool. I want to share a funny little anecdote with my dad. I remember when I first gave him the oil, I told him, I said, listen, it was basically a drop. I showed him how much to put on the end of like a toothpick or whatever, and to put it on something like a peanut, because it'll blacken your teeth if you don't. Yeah. That being said, I talked to him a few days later, and I said, you working with the oil okay? And he says, oh yeah, I think I used a little bit too much the other day. Now you got to remember, my dad had never smoked anything or taken anything in his life, and he just had this grin from ear to ear. And I said, yeah, it's pretty good shit, eh? And he goes, oh yeah, that was really interesting. And but he said it was great because he was able to sleep with no pain. Because he had a very, very bad hip joint where he was going to have to get his hip replaced, and they put off the operation because they found the cancer. And just that cheesy grin, man, I'll never forget.
Well, I know my own father, when he was 77, I gave him his first joint. It was funny as hell because Dad sat there and he smoked it. He smoked cigarettes anyway, and he smoked it. So he gets up and he goes to bed. And the next morning, he come out, and, he looked at me, and he said, my God, he said, I had some wonderful dreams last night. And he said, I slept like a log. He said, Rick, he said, why is that stuff against the law? And at that time, I couldn't give him an answer. I just told him, I said, Dad, I don't understand it either, but that's the way it is. But it was a few years after that when I really discovered why it's against the law. It's such a sin against humanity to hold something like this back that can help everyone on this planet, including animal life. All animal life, they all have cannabinoid receptors too. Yeah. We can heal our pets. We can, we're curing dogs of terminal cancer in many cases within like a week to a week and a half because a dog's metabolism is so much quicker than a human's.
Yep.
And dogs heal so rapidly. I just love working with dogs.
Yeah, so there you go. This is not just for, people. It is the planet's most perfect vegetable.
And another thing, a lot of people used to come at me, and they used to say, well, you need the power of positive thinking. And when anybody would say that to me, I used to look at them and said, look, does a dog have the power of positive thinking? And of course, you have to answer no to that. But if you put that oil on your finger, and if it's high grade oil, a dog will come right over and lick it right off, and they won't hesitate.
Well, yeah, look at
Okay. Are we back on air?
We are.
Oh, good. Now, it's such a shame. This is a wonderful show, and it's such a shame that Skype isn't working with us tonight. Because I know this must be very frustrating for anybody listening.
Oh, this is normal. No, don't worry. The listeners.
No coincidence.
No, it's normal. It happens every show that we really ram out the truth. So we just take it in stride and go, ha ha ha, I've gotcha. Thank you for confirming that we're scaring you.
Yeah, the internet gods are against us.
That's okay. We got this one. But Tony got bumped, and I'm waiting for him. He always has a hell of a time even tuning in. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate that. And that's the thing too. The Skype groups and Facebook, everybody keeps me on my toes to let me know that you're silent, you're on, you're off. So, no, we're good.
Well, I'll go back to the dog story then.
Please, yeah, go back to the dog.
The dog that we owned, she was a very old dog, a huge dog. She weighed about 130 pounds, big Labrador Retriever, German Shepherd cross. And I know when she was about 18, 19 years old, and my son said to me one day, he said, Susie's slowing down quite badly, Dad. And I'd already treated animals at that time, quite a few animals. So we decided to give her 2 doses of oil for 5 days. At the end of 5 days, that dog was running back and forth to the road just like it was a 2-year-old pup again. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But, one day, just for the hell of it, I sat there one day and I took some lower grade oil and I put it on my finger. And Susie came over and she sniffed it, but she wouldn't go near it. So I went over and I got some more. I got some of the high grade oil and I put that on my finger. As soon as she walked over, it was gone. Because an animal has the senses to know. And it's a great shame that humans don't possess the same senses to know what's harmless and what can help them.
Yeah, I'm going to do a shout out to the room. I was talking. We were probably off the air when I said it, but the Lapland reindeer of the northern, the northern regions. There's a particular mushroom that they go after. It's, I think, red with white polka dots. Featured greatly in Gravity Falls cartoon episode. You might want to. That's where I got the Invocation of the Cross. By the way, I pull information out of the weirdest places. That's kind of what I do. So I'm kind of freaky that way. Anyway, so if anyone's in the Love and Stuff room knows the actual mushroom that I'm talking about, if they could share it with me, I'd love to share that with her.
Flygaric.
What is it called?
Flygaric.
Flygaric, that doesn't sound like the one I'm thinking of.
No, I don't think it is. I know I've read a bit about the one you're talking about, and I can't think of the name of it either.
Yeah,
that's not my field of expertise.
No,
but I have heard some amazing things about these mushrooms.
I love psilocybin. It's a beautiful shamanic tool when you treat it as a tool, and so many people just treat it as, I'm going to get wasted. No, you fool, you're dangerous territory.
Oh, yes, it's very dangerous.
Absolutely agree with you there.
It's like if you're not ready to do something, in a mature fashion, going at something with intent and purpose to learn and to not let it take you away, it's the most powerful learning tool or the most destructive terror you will ever encounter.
Yeah.
So.
I think the problem with working with the mushrooms, it doesn't need mushrooms to work with anything else.
There you go. And good to have you back, Louis.
Yeah, thank you. Good to be back.
Yeah, you were experiencing something that happened. It's happened a few times to me, where it sounds like popcorn, really loud.
That's right, absolutely, like a drumming.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah, we had it for about 10 minutes one night. That was the night we had. First time it happened was Brett Stillings was on. Then our main website got hacked a half hour after the show.
Oh right.
Well, I don't know what's going on there, brother, or Kate, because I've done so many interviews, and I've never, ever heard that sound before.
Yeah, well, welcome to our world. Oh, and the mushroom is called Amanita muscaria.
Amanita, right. That's it.
Amanita muscaria. Thank you, Lady Landvid.
But there's been so many things. When you look at the hemp plant, and you look at what they hid from us, look at all these other wonderful natural healing herbs. So, in truth, what else have they hidden? We need to know more about all these natural healing herbs. And, and the only way we're ever going to get that knowledge is to have somebody honest do the simple research that's required and report it openly to the public.
Yeah. Speaking of oils, I always like to make this known when it comes into my universe. That canola oil that you see in the grocery shelves, guys? That's motor. Yes. It's motor oil.
Yeah.
Don't ingest it. They use that for lubricating machinery, for crying out loud. Canola oil is the most poisonous oil you could cook with. If you're going to cook with oil at all, coconut oil is the best.
Absolutely.
Or or a very high grade olive oil, cold pressed, and don't overheat the oil because it becomes a toxin. So just, but canola oil, guys, oh my God, don't.
Yeah, it is the world's worst. I had an American one night called me, and he went up one side of me and down the other. You guys are all growing that canola up in Canada. And I told him, I said, look, I don't know what's going on out west. I live in Nova Scotia. and I don't know of any canola being grown around here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, you wouldn't go around, spraying your fry pans with WD-40 or taking out some 5W40 and putting it in the pan to cook your eggs in. Not that I would. I'm a vegetarian, but you know what I'm saying?
But of course,
that's
Rick just mentioned herbs.
Put margarine in that bag too.
Oh yeah, the other poison. Yeah, the one that they originally margarine was created to fatten turkeys. Gobble gobble, everybody.
Well, I mean,
and of course, Rick just mentioned herbs, of course, and you will all be aware, I'm sure, of the disaster we had in Europe last year, now 2011, when they effectively banned the use of herbs in Europe, and that was atrocious. And we've got to fight that. What is a shame, there is all the people involved in those herbs in the UK and elsewhere. If they had all just continued doing what they were doing, everybody, I just wonder what would then happen. It's because when the masses start to conform, that's when the other side win. Yeah. If only people would have the guts to stand together and say, right, we're not going to do it, and face it together. This is going to start happening, I think, more and more. And this is very, I think, effective. And it's one of the ways we have to go with this information, is stand together.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
If we don't stand together, they're going to use this Codex Alimentarius to outlaw everything natural.
Well, absolutely. That's the thing. Here's how I look at laws in general. If I'm not harming anyone, there it is.
That's what laws are supposed to be based on, the harm factor.
Well, yeah, and the other thing, too, is this morning, I'm sure everyone had the tinkle when they got up, and I didn't bother phoning the chief of police to see if it was okay, nor did I ask anyone if it's all right to breathe. And I apply that same rule to everything in my life. Hey, Jim, how are you?
I'm good. I would like to make a comment to the gentleman that's been speaking. No, we don't need to go to the public. We need to pass the information on to our fellow man, because if you go into the public, then they steal it.
Oh, I know that.
It.
Well said.
So the method of today is, if you have a technology, well, you just bring it out, and you go start selling it.
Again, same rule applies to me every day. I did not ask anyone for permission to go tinkle this morning or when I was in school.
Exactly. Exactly. Hey, I've got this technology. Hey,
Jim, here, just a sec.
Here it is for you.
Right. Here's the analogy. This is very simple. As a kid, I remember I had to go to the bathroom. I got up and I started walking towards the door, and the teacher said, "Where are you going?" I said, "Well, I have to go to the bathroom." He said, "Well, I didn't give you permission." I said, "Neither did my body. I have to go." and I walked out the door. I said, "My body's telling me I don't need anyone's permission for that." And I think I was 8 years old.
You should have never pissed on his desk.
Yeah. Actually, hers, but that's okay. Either or. It's like. But if you understand, these are the very simple things that were drilled out of us, guys. You don't need anyone's permission to breathe. You don't need anyone's permission to grow anything you want. Take everything legal and burn it. Burn their books. Burn their books in your mind, in your hearts, and in your souls. Stand, for crying out loud. Stand.
Do you need a frickin' patent? No, just go build it.
Bingo.
Well, I'm totally against patents anyway. I mean, everything I brought to the public, I never tried to put any patents on it, because this is a benefit to all mankind.
Yeah.
Why should anybody have a patent on something like this? But that's exactly what's going on now with Guzman in Spain, GW Pharmaceuticals, and a whole bunch more of them all over in Europe and different places. The American government, they're all putting patents in place on this plant.
Yeah,
they don't have that right.
Yeah, good old Pharma and Monsanto.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a prime example.
Again, I'm not even gonna look at those wankers, because quite frankly, they don't matter to me. I'm gonna right back. Green light, green light, green light on just doing, being, and having abundance. Thank you.
Green light, green light, green light.
That's right. Don't get caught up in the drama. If we're caught up even in spending a lot of time discussing what they're doing. We're playing their game. We're dancing their dance and we're singing to their music.
And I write my
Not
own music
anymore.
and I dance my own dance, baby. And let's just get
Not
going.
anymore.
Let's have some fun.
Not anymore. We're not dancing their dance.
Go ahead.
This is our dance.
From the listeners.
Okay, Lewis, hit us.
Well, let's answer some of the questions. They're asking what can they do, which is a great response. What can they do? What can we be telling these people? What can they do? I think, Kate, you've already said, write a letter to the doctor, a polite one, bringing to their attention what they're doing.
Write a letter.
All the people could do this. This would be great.
Write a letter,
and
you don't even have to write a letter. You can email, and it's so much easier. I've got an email list with over 3,000 direct emails to all media agencies and governments around the world. Here's the thing. I spent days collecting church emails. Yeah. Grab a couple of local churches, grab all the emails from their website, and send them a letter saying, listen, you need to really check out this beautiful minister called Bill Donahue. And then put a couple of links in, and wait do you see things change? If you don't know Bill, you should watch some of his stuff. Add Santa Bonacci in there. Add Rick's videos, And seriously, it's not about the doing, guys. It's the intent. Please, I need this to really sink in. Change your mind. Change the universe. Simple.
That's all that's required. Just a change in paradigm, and that's what we need.
And we got it. It's changing. And I know people listening, they chomp at the bit. What can we do? Oh, cool. That's something neat we can do. And they do it. We do this together.
Yep.
Yeah. There has to be radical activism performed in the right way.
With love and intent. Just beautiful. Just get the truth out there. I don't have an issue emailing a hospital and calling them all a bunch of murderers, because that's what they're doing. They don't know it yet, though. And sometimes it takes a bucket of ice water to wake up the most sleepy of all, and they are. Cops, lawyers, judges, doctors, nurses. They are the most sleepy on the planet. They're so engulfed in this physical paradigm, it's sickening. Let's wake them up. I got lots of ice.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to approach this issue with love, when somebody's standing there in a uniform and beating you over the head with a wooden billy. That's a little hard to handle.
Yeah, but I
can always laugh at the irony.
Exactly.
That's true, but that's really where prayer comes in. There's a beautiful story of Denise Lynn, who's a wonderful shaman who was doing a lot of work around in the 80s. And when she was a teenager, she was on her moped somewhere in the northern United States, and she was chased by a rapist and a killer with a gun who knocked her off the bike and was standing over her, unzipping his flies, ready to rape and then shoot her. And she opened her eyes, looked at him in the eyes with an open heart and prayed, and he zipped up his flies and drove away. And she was the only one of 13 other victims who wasn't raped and shot before the guy was caught.
I know of another story about that as well, but I mean, if I go into that one, it's probably quite a long story and it'll take up the rest of the show. But it was all about somebody giving up and just saying, okay, I accept, with love in their heart, and the person that was trying to kill them couldn't get near them.
It works every time. It even works with the authorities in the United States. I've done it. I've been in difficult situations on the wrong side of things in the United States, and I've done my prayer, which is, Jesus, can you get the F down here right now? Situations have miraculous.
Did he come?
every time he responds to that so fast, you'd be shocked.
I'm going to remember that and put that in full force and effect.
That's the way to go.
If it helps, it helps. I'm in favor of anything that works.
See, and there's a word I don't have in my vocabulary. I don't believe in luck. There is no such thing as luck or unlucky. What there is choice, and we choose our realities. And it took a lot of hard experiences to go through to actually be able to say that. And I had to come to terms with a lot of things of love thine enemy, which means love thine no vengeance, nemesis, no vengeance. And when you finally get past that one, and for me that's a major hurdle for a lot of people, to look your enemy in the face and go, I love you. And I think that's what the devil leveled most of them in the courthouse because they heard that more times than they probably heard in their entire lives with people that are supposed to love them. You know, I just look at them and say, I love you. You know, you can do what you want to do to me, and you can call it whatever you want. You know, you're trading doing this to me for a paycheck. If that's what it's worth to you, then please feel free. You know, I'm going to love you anyway.
Yeah, agreed, Kate. And the enemy, we have to remember, is our mirror. And when we own that shadow inside ourselves, that mirror dissolves.
Mm-hmm. Big time. And I've lived, and it's very difficult to feel that compassionate love when you've got a cop with his boot on your neck and on your wrist, breaking your friggin' arm, while there's another 14 or 15 gathered around like piranha, or mad dogs at a kill, and that's exactly what these guys are trained into. They're basically elevated specimens of the wild realm, the animal kingdom of predator prey, and that's all they are. They're trained with a pack mentality. They're absolutely useless if here, take your badge off, take your uniform off. As soon as you lose your job, how powerful are you? And it's only the illusion that these people are all trapped in. So we need to take that bucket of ice water and just drown them with it. Love, baby, love.
And that's the illusion. It's our fiction, and it's an opportunity at that point to resurrect, to transfigure and ascend.
Well, back in 2005, I had 1,620 plants in my backyard, and of course the RCMP were good enough to come raid me. But when they were cutting the crop down, they were about halfway through, and one of the officers, he leaned over to cut one of the big hemp plants down, and I was on the deck. And I yelled at him, and I said, no, not that one. And he looked up at me, and I said, that's the one I was going to heal your father's cancer with. Well, they hate to hear things like that. But, I can't say I approached them with love, but I certainly embarrassed them.
Well, no, that is love. You loved him enough to say you want to save his father, Rick.
Well, yeah.
But, it was a funny thing because I defended myself during my Supreme Court case, and a lot of these same police officers that raided me, when they came, they delivered all the paperwork. There was a cop car in my yard for 6 months every second day, delivering paperwork. And every cop that came to my door, every one of them, looked me in the face and said, I hope you win your case.
See, they know, and yeah. What we have to do is be that beacon, to be that green light, baby. Shine the love. Green, by the way, the Emerald City is your heart.
Well, I have to give people, like Jack Hare and people like that. Well, Jack fought this war for 40 years, and he took so many criticisms from everywhere. But, the man was a tower of strength. And, I've only been doing this for a bit over 10 years, and I know how exhausting it can be. So for anybody to do what Jack did for 40 years, I think he deserves a Congressional Medal of Honor. Or, matter of fact, I think he should be classified as a saint.
Yeah, I wouldn't even put him into either church or state. I would just say truly an angel.
He was. He really was.
And guys, hey, talking about love, we're not talking about soft, codependent, fluffy bullshit kind of love, Love of the divine feminine era that we're moving into includes Kali and Shakti and Pele. It's the volcanic, explosive, righteous love. Mm-hmm. That says no to unacceptable behavior. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think in societies, they always say, well, you've got to have the police. But in the old days, well, they had vigilante justice, and every now and then, they might have hung the wrong guy, but of course the legal system does that every day, so that's nothing unusual. Yeah. But, I think any community can more or less fend for itself. If the men in any community, if there's a problem, if the men get together, they can go solve it. No problem.
That's why we have common law. Common law is common sense. It works very well. We don't need all the statute law stuff.
No, that's just a bunch of dribble. And, when they come into and do these raids on people's homes, they don't just come in and charge you with one or two things. They'll charge you with some of the most outlandish things you can imagine. They always lay like 10, 12 charges on you. And then when you go to court, they try to get you to plea bargain down, plead guilty to just one for us.
That's the game.
It is so sinister the way they go about this, and I feel so bad for people that have children, and anybody that's growing cannabis, because they use the children as a lever against them. we're going to take your children from you because you're an unfit parent. Well, I mean, growing cannabis does not make you an unfit parent. As a matter of fact, it makes you a very wise parent.
Yes, and I did have one comment that I needed to clear up for someone. Vincent asked, I would assume we cannot get back our original birth certificate, but a certified copy will do, yes. You will never get back the original deed poll with the footprints on it. Sorry, guys, that's not going to happen because that's the spiritual contract. That's the ether contract. And the copy is all you need. That is proof of the fraud. You don't need anything but that. And when people get identification using it, that's how it's tied into the spiritual selling of the child. So it's time to, here's how we save our own children and in the process save ourselves. So yeah, all you're ever going to have is a certified copy, and that's all you need. It's proof of the fraud. That's it. End of story. Carry on.
Well, I mean, when you look at it, I've had a lot of arguments from people that were religious. I remember one guy called me. His son was in his 30s, and he was dying from leukemia. And he asked me about the oil, and I explained it. And he came right out and said, he said, my son is very religious, and I think his religion would prevent him, from using this medication. And I said, Is your son a Christian? And he said, well, yes. He said, do you know what Jesus used to heal the people? You know anything about the holy anointing oil and how many cannabinoids were in it? Jesus himself used this to heal people, for God's sakes. So how can any religion sit there, and scream that there's something wrong with using cannabis as a medicine? Most
religions have very little to do with Jesus.
Yeah, you're right about that. It's more about control and money. But they tell the people, if you want to go to heaven, well, just give us all your money and we'll open the portal. But, of course, we get to keep all the money. Buy your way into heaven.
That's right. And let's remember, Jesus never started a religion.
No.
No, there was no Bible when Jesus, I guess there was the Old Testament, but there was no, the New Testament, that was a couple hundred years in the future.
Well, I'll tell you, the Old Testament's just how we got into the mess, and the New is how we get out, once you know how to decode it. We have a caller. I'm not sure if they want to jump in or not. Area code 401. Hello. Questions or comments? Your mic is open, so feel free to jump in. I just like to make sure everyone knows that they're welcome at the table. The feast is set. Let's eat.
Okay. Lewis, you still there?
Yes, I am, yeah.
Okay, we briefly discussed off air about some of the other potential things that we wanted to touch base on, yeah? And I wanted to give you an opportunity and a platform just to mention a couple of those.
Well, okay, I wasn't planning to do that because we're having a nice chat today with Rick and his oil. And this is one of the concerns I had that I think we're going to get this together, is to really look at all the different forms, all the natural treatments out there. And I think what we need to do is to look at all of them and some of the machinery that can help cancer as well, in terms of hypothermia and the light machines and things like this. And we need to really get to grips with what works effectively for most of the time, for most of the people, and put together from all these options. You've got Dr. Basinski and Dr. Kelly and David Notes, the GMAF, Dr. Mark Serkis, and there's Robert Young and Hippocrates.
Gerson therapy.
There's TB70 and Gerson and Syncrenicity. There's all pulling ozone therapy, NMS. All these things have been very effective in the fight to treat cancer. But what we need to do at the end of the day is to really get together and come up with one super duper protocol that covers all the inexpensive elements of all that, which we can offer people very quickly and easily, that they can do it themselves at home almost. And we need to be able to show people that this has efficacy, it works, and provide the proper information. There's a lot out there, and I think Rick's oil, it leads the way, without doubt, on the treatment for cancer. But I'm sure, can I ask the question, or would somebody answer the question, does using hemp oil work on cancer every single time? And it's not an easy one to answer, I would imagine.
Well, it depends on... it would depend on the individual. I mean, if somebody has a completely self-defeating attitude, they can nullify it.
EFT, emotional freedom technique, is all part of it, dealing with the emotional side.
And then I will say that's where Laura Ann Wooldridge comes in, because what they're probably got going on there is a lack of peptide production, and they need an opiate to bridge those things. Yeah. And then the hemp will work, because then they have the return of hope, if you will. And I have to do this tonight, guys, because there's one of my friends on Facebook has a wonderful philosophical quote at the end of everything that he writes, and it's the Great Harry. I love this, and it sums it up pretty well when you actually understand the level of game we're playing here. And his quote, philosophically, from the heart, with most love, intent, truth, and honor, is this: "Fuck the Romans."
Very good. Yeah.
That works.
You know what Roma is. Rome in Italian, Latin, Roma is the reverse of amor.
Amor, yes, it's love in the mirror.
That's right.
There you go.
Even though we go back now over 100 years almost for using hemp oil, today you have other technologies which are coming forth very rapidly. For example, the Pain Genie scanner is an amazing device for the treatment of cancer. There are so many things like this. So that's what I would like to see at the end of the day, people getting together who have experience of all the treatments and really coming out with one massive mother of all protocols which we can quickly give to people. And if you mix a lot of this stuff up, it will deal with those people that sometimes it works on some people and some not on other people. And this is the problem. Absolutely. It doesn't seem to work on everybody, so we can get a huge amount of this stuff together and say, right, go for it. Just take all that. It doesn't matter which one works. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Take them all. If it works, fantastic. And let's push that out to people.
Absolutely. And the best tool, the best protocol is teach everybody the most simple thing, how to use a pendulum. Then they can douse for themselves which remedy is going to work.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah.
We're definitely gonna run past the clock on this one, and I want to, because there's so much beautiful information coming up people can get in the archive. But I do want to. I love making sure that I give out thanks to Critical Mass Radio, Paul and Lisa and the crew at Critical Mass Radio .co.uk for giving us this platform, and I mean they gave it to us. There was no way that Tony or I had the means in which to do our own platform. I just don't have the funds for it. So the gift that you are all listening to right now is as a result of Paul and Critical Mass and the team there. So I would urge everyone, I don't do this very often, but I would urge if anyone can, and so many of you have helped us, and we're still compiling the list of people that chipped in for Tony, myself, and Santo, and one other individual. Thank you so much. But if you can get over to criticalmassradio.co.uk and toss a buck or two, whatever.
Okay, good. And don't forget, at the end of the day, we've been talking about the treatment of cancer. We must also look at the cause of cancer and ensure people do the right thing so the cancer doesn't come back as well. And that's important. We haven't got time to go into that today, but certainly that is essential information people ought to know about.
Absolutely.
Yep. And what we'll do, guys, we're a minute till we're off the air here, but what we will do is set up something else to get this group back together very soon, like as quickly as possible, to continue this, because this kind of information is so proactive and so at a baby step level for people to get involved and do. Like I said, order hemp seeds. You can order them. They're not illegal. And order them by the pound and start making hemp grenades, and take a walk down the woods trails that are around your area, the city planters and whatever, and just start hand bombing these seeds off.
It's a great idea, Kate. It's a great idea.
You take 3 seeds out of something like what can we call it? Canary food, right? And you grow those 3 seeds, and you put the 2 plants next to each other in the wild. Just leave them alone, Yeah, one will pollinate the next. You'll end up with thousands and thousands of seeds just from 3 seeds, because one will always revert to a male and pollinate the other 2 females. So then from 3 seeds, you've got thousands.
That's another amazing thing about the cannabis plant. If there is no males present, then that happens all the time. One of the females will start expressing male sign so they can pollinate. What an amazing plant.
Yeah, isn't it interesting to note that all cannabis plants are two-spirit? Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you right now, brother, it's the only thing on this earth that I worship. You know, I think it's the only thing worth worshiping.
Well,
I've seen the miracles that it can work.
Well, when you understand that it's, the mitochondrial DNA is Delta 9 Lucifer, which is the one just before ours, which is Delta 10 Lucifer, we are actually related to it. That's where the word cannibal comes from, eating of the flesh. Cannabis, cannibal, it's all there.
Yeah.
When you see
this is the thing. You know, I mean, we're designed to take this medicine. But the medical system says it's not medicine. Well, I got news for them. But, I mean, what I'm working on right now, I developed another method of producing the oil. You still produce the oil the way I suggested. But what I'm telling people to do now is to build devices like giant vaporizers and vaporize this finished oil, vaporize it off, vaporize the cannabinoids off it, and catch it in a collector. You know, you see these vaporizers, how the bottle will turn all yellow. Well, that's the cannabinoids, gathering on the collection area. So if we had that area just tilted a little bit, so those cannabinoids would run down to the lowest point. What happens is in the bowl of the vaporizer, all the plant waxes or anything undesirable is left behind. What you're getting is the pure cannabinoids, basically in its purest form. And the first time I made this oil, I could not. The oil I started with was extremely strong. It was super powerful. But when I put it through the vaporizer, the oil that came out the other end was a whole different animal. This stuff was so powerful, I just couldn't believe it. And I even tried it on a skin cancer patient. And it's often people tell me, when I'm treating skin cancer, they'll say, we can feel like a little tugging sensation after they put the oil on. And what that is, it's the oil is drawing the cancer to it, and it's the healing that they're feeling. But I did supply this oil to a cancer patient, and he had used the ordinary oil first. But when he tried this new oil, he told me, he said, Rick, it was just like somebody had me with a pair of pliers. He said the tugging was intense. Well, that told me right there, this is a much more effective treatment for cancer.
Yeah.
So, this is what I'm trying to do. Perfect this medicine and then tell the whole world how they can make the same type of medication, properly. And we've got the greatest medicine on the planet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well done, Rick. Well done.
Absolutely, and you can count on us to get the word out. And I just want to let you guys know that Laura Ann Wooldridge hopefully is in the call. Laura, are you there? I did pull her in, so let me see.
She's gone busy.
No, it's still trying to ring. She asked me to bring her in. Laura, are you there? There you are.
I'm here. Sorry, I had to switch over to the other page for a second. Hey, guys, how are you?
Just fine, dear.
Thanks, Laura.
Good. Hey, Tony, you there too?
Yeah, indeed, Bub. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Listen, can I jump in for a sec?
That's why I said jump in.
Thanks, honey. Tony, the medication that this person would need to get that we spoke about is called Suboxone. The reason that it works is because it blocks the kappa receptor, which is known as the KOR opioid receptor. That it blocks that mechanism, which is a dynorphin, which is one of the bad endorphins, if there are good, bad. And that's the mechanism that causes the avoidance, the depression, the anxiety, all of the negative emotions. And that's why it works so well, but it's a very difficult drug to get because of the ignorance and the war on drugs and everything else, as these guys know. You wouldn't get high off this drug it would be impossible to get high off this drug. They made it that way. So, and anyone with this disease is not trying to get high. They're trying not to die.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Now, what we need is a war on stupidity.
We're already.
Or greed.
Yeah.
I wrote a book on it, remember?
I don't know about the stupidity. I've met so many doctors who've written the papers. I've been in their offices. I've been in front of their face. I've taken their papers with the testing that I've had done, $80,000 worth, and said, look, here's my cerebral spine fluid. I don't have these. Here's my brain scan. Look at my hippocampus. Here's my blood panel. And nothing, basically got wiped out of their systems, hoping that I, had fallen off the face of the earth. So I don't think it's stupidity on a large amount. And certainly there are doctors.
I would call it ignorance due to arrogance.
Or greed. It's greed as well, isn't it?
Well, I mean, in the situation of doctors, I'd have to agree that's true, but, really the public is living in ignorance, about this subject.
Well, I've been going to local meetings here, to the NA meetings, and alcoholism is based in this as well. I've got tons of papers and research items from, everything from the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, when you had information on indigenous opioids. There is a core of most of these illnesses, beta endorphin especially, but it was wiped out. The first-line antidepressants, which were not invented to be antidepressants, the MAOIs and the MAOIBs, are very neuroprotective, and they affect dopamine. It's the key. None of these drugs, none of these psychological drugs touch dopamine. Mm-hmm. And that's what you need affected.
Exactly.
I would be willing to bet that none of these drugs can compare to hemp oil when it comes to neuroprotection. I mean,
no.
I've read pieces. There's a gentleman in the States that wrote a book about cannabis. Was it marijuana, the new medicine or something? And he had suffered a severe motorcycle accident without a helmet. And the doctors said that they figured he would be a vegetable. But he was a heavy cannabis smoker. And he came right back, and he wrote a book. It was amazing. So he said that even smoking cannabis, he said, is almost like, when you have that in your system, it's almost like wearing an invisible helmet.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree with every bit of that, and I certainly wouldn't recommend an MAO. I wouldn't recommend any pharmaceutical. I cannot recommend heroin because I don't want people to go to jail, and there's so much crap out there. You'd have to have the purest poppy grade, Afghanistan heroin you could get taken in very small, judicious amounts throughout the day to keep your levels bonus. It's no different than insulin for a diabetic, but I can't responsibly tell someone to do that. The only pharmaceutical I can recommend is buprenorphine, which is labeled under Suboxone. And it is brilliant because it blocks that mechanism. As far as neuroprotection, I'm sure that hemp and cannabis are. With this disease, though, you won't be able to smoke pot until you get a fix. You'll have THC intolerance, and it would be a torturous trip through hell to be blown a shotgun. So it has to have, it really would, and it has to have balance. I haven't tried smoking since I've been well because I'm afraid to.
Well, I'm not talking about the smoking aspect there. I don't push the smoking aspect. If you want to see the magic, ingest the oil.
Exactly, and that's exactly right.
Hey guys, can I throw something in that I just got with the oil?
Yep.
That the dopamine is being diffused through chemtrails and other things that are being sprayed from the sky. Yeah. But if people process the oil in the way I've forgotten his name is talking about with oil diffusers in the house and burn frankincense, we create a pure energy field around us that will counteract what is coming down from the sky.
Hence gold,
it's so wonderful to have this information on, from Karen and from you and with Tony as well. It is the future of medicine. And believe me, the dopamine death is intentional from the get-go.
Yes.
It certainly is. If you look at all of the drugs that are illegal, which would be everything you have a system for your body for in your body naturally, psychedelics, you have DMT, and we've been through this over and over. The only one you don't is alcohol, which takes on a disease of its own, alcoholism. So it's intentional, and that's why they don't tell you need glutathione or this oil, the hemp oil and things like that. But they're never going to, so that's where we have to start from.
Well, part of the problem is they never tell us the truth about anything. Years ago, I built my own still. So I did a little experimenting. I decided I was going to make my own moonshine. So I would put the mash through the still 5 times. And I was coming out with 92% pure alcohol, 184 proof. But after I made it, it was beautiful looking stuff. No much wonder they call it shine, because it literally does shine. But I was scared to ingest it, you know. So this first night I tried it, you know, like about a half an ounce in a glass of water, and it was an excellent drink. But you know, you're only in the run of a whole night, you wouldn't drink any more than maybe 5 ounces of this stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, but what surprised me was that I didn't get drunk. There was no staggering. I wasn't I didn't slur my words. We were playing darts that night. I threw the best darts I ever threw in my life. I mean, I was so on, I could not believe it. I was not impaired. So then I realized that it's a lot to do with these other impurities that are in the alcohol that do cause us a great deal of problems, you know, these hangovers. Because from real alcohol or high-grade moonshine, there's no hangover.
I agree. It's the same with the agave, the really, really well-done tequilas and things like that don't have the impurities. But
right.
anything that we get from the government source is going to be designed to keep our brains as dumbed down and as sick as they possibly can. So
yeah, it's interesting you mentioned about tequila, because that was one of the very few things that I really enjoyed. It never ever felt like I was poisoning myself with it. And the stuff I would get, the good Mexican, you paid a good dollar for it, but they make it from mesquite.
There's two different kinds. There's that and the agave.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's a cactus. But the thing about it is, same as cerveza. Even their beer making is an entirely different process. Mm-hmm. So that totally makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, and I mean, you come to a country like Canada. I mean, all they have over here is chemical beer. I mean, I basically got away from drinking back when I was in my 30s. But when I first went to the Czech Republic, you know, like they were always shoving alcohol in my face, and and I told them I'm not a drinker. But when I was in the Czech Republic, they introduced me to Pilsner Urquell, and I have to say that is the best damn beer on this planet.
Yeah,
you can drink it. You're not sick the next day, and you actually enjoy it.
It's because of the brewing. There's a special technique, a Bavarian brewing technique that is. There's a couple of beers. Grolsch is one of them. Beck's and a handful of others that actually use this brewing technique, and it is the purest, and that would include the Czech beer you're talking about, the purest real beer that you will ever drink. It's not tainted.
Oh yes, these beers are in a category all their own. Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, I was talking earlier about that Safer Commission, and actually they recommended to Richard Nixon that this plant be classified by itself, and it shouldn't be classified as a narcotic. That was right in the Safer Commission.
It was all tricky, Dick. That's when this whole thing started, was with the DEA. He implemented the DEA. This goes way down to him and NIMH, because before that they were doing frontal lobotomies. When they couldn't do those any longer, they had to come up with something. So any pharmaceutical, especially synthetic opioid, is made to be. You'll build up a tolerance. It's created that way. If you had the pure poppy form heroin, you would not, and you wouldn't be doing it to get high. But people are if you're going into it in an ignorant, unevolved state, you're shooting heroin to get high. You're doing copious amounts more than you need to do, and there you go. So they made it stigmatizing for a reason.
Yeah.
Well, one of the most surprising things I ever ran across. I mean, I have many books, about herbal medicines and things like that from many, many years ago. But one of the books I had, there was a report in there from the Brompton Cancer Hospital in England in 1895, and the doctor stated that the only effective treatment he has ever found for cancer is opium. And when I read that, I read that and I said, what is this? And he said that patients could live on for years. And it did have a wonderful effect on cancer. But see, I was thinking about the opiates from the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah,
when it's a raw opium that doctor was talking about. So I think there's probably things about opium that have been hidden from us too.
That's it. In a nutshell, that's it exactly. That's what you want is opium. That's the best derivative from that poppy plant that you're going to get. It's the high-grade opium. That's why they have opium dens in Indochina. And
she's quite a bright girl.
Oh yeah. Again, this is just one more example of the gathering of angels that are in the thousands around you right now, and I really need you to get that. The word is out. This is why I want you guys back, because I know you're reaching thousands right now.
I'm happy to come back anytime, brother.
Well, the door's open. I told you that. I don't have one. I don't have a door.
Okay.
Rick,
This
we've
is a
still got a
root
lot of
causation for many illnesses. Just, from physical to so-called psychological, which is physical. Any brain mechanism is a tangible physical synopsis. There's nothing as behavior. Brain chemistry is the precursor to behavior, period. So,
well, we're even bringing people back that are suffering from schizophrenia with this oil.
Yeah.
Because it decalcifies the pineal gland, and that controls our perceptions of reality.
Yep.
Yeah. That's it. The pineal gland is at the base root core. These two, these peptides and the beta endorphin would be I won't say the names, but they activate your DMT as well. So without all of these things, we're never going to wake up. That's it. So,
well, I got to tell you, it looks like tonight I'm going to have a little walk on the wild side with some Salvia divinorum.
Oh. Lucky you.
Well, yeah, you can go down to you can go down to the store and get it. I can get it at the corner stores here. It's an incense, you know that, right?
Yeah, I'm back.
It even says right on the packaging, careful, inhalation of this incense will cause certain effects,
certain wonderful effects.
Again, but here's the thing: I haven't touched salvia since last summer, because for me, any of this stuff, I treat it with the utmost respect. It's a shamanic tool, and you've got to be in the right headspace for it. And I have nothing but respect for it, because it's a walk on the other side, and you got and what you guys are talking about with cannabinoids and opiates and all of these wonderful natural occurring creator-given gifts that we're supposed to be using to our betterment are the most powerful tools on this planet. Psilocybin.
Heal thyself. Is what it was. We were designed this way. We were created this way. So that's where we got to go.
And that's where we're going. I mean, the tsunami of truth is here, and like I said, I've probably had another 20, 25 Facebook requests today alone. I'm averaging about 30 or 40 a day right now.
Start cloning yourself.
Well, there's 2 of me already. I don't need any more. Trust me. Do you know what, Laura? Do you know why I like being me? Because no one else can handle it.
Listen, on that note, Kate, I've just sent a message to you.
Sure.
I'm going to have to go now. It's very late here. I haven't really started tonight. It's been a great pleasure being on the show, and hopefully I'll come back sometime in the future.
As soon as you possibly can, my friend, because there's so much more that I know you have to reveal in your way, and I'll talk with Tony, and we'll get it sorted out to get you back within the week or so, if that's good.
Fantastic, absolutely.
And as long as Jim's okay with it, I'd like to connect you up with Jim as well.
Thanks for being on the air, brother.
Pleasure. Thanks, Rick. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Louis.
Bye. And I have to go now too, guys, but I look forward to talking and walking on both sides with you all really soon.
Absolutely. And Swan, before you go, just a quick mention here. I went to the link that you gave me for that download, and it wasn't available.
Which download was that?
The book.
Oh, really? On the web page or the Facebook page?
The Dropbox, yes.
Okay. I'll make sure you get the Book of Sarah. You'll love it, I'm sure.
I am going to read it as quickly as I can and watch me go.
Swan, where can I find out the information that you have on the frankincense and the oils and the and that type of protection information?
We need to talk about that. I don't have that written down. I just have the thesis I wrote on the spirit of disease, which I can shoot through to you if you give me your email address.
I'll actually hook you guys up on Skype right now.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Tony.
I was going to say that was me that mentioned that. Doesn't matter.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, love you.
Bye, darling. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye, love you all.
God bless.
Love you.
Love you.
Tony, what information would that person be able to get to a doctor to get the buprenorphine?
Come again?
Do you know that this person that we spoke about, would they be able to get to a physician to get buprenorphine, or would they be able to? Are they somewhere where a heroin would be legal? Do you know them well enough to know that it would be a responsible thing to do?
To be honest, I wouldn't know about that. That's not my area.
Yeah, well, I'm going to send the information on what they would need to do to get the buprenorphine. It's not an easy thing to do. It's very, very difficult. And then we'll do what we can to make it not difficult, okay?
Absolutely. There's many other things that go with this. As we said tonight, it's not just one cure for cancer. There are lots of other things. We've got cell salts, we've got pH balancing, we've got reduction of fluoride. There's all sorts of things we need to go through.
This is the baby, the core, and then everything else is maintenance and lifestyle and how it's all essential. It's just the big package.
No, because you've got to include oils. You've got to include essential oils, essential salts, electrolyzers, and these sorts of things. You know, it all works together. The body's a machine of lots of different gears, guys. You know, we need to make sure all the gears are oiled, or one of the gears will fail.
You could never tell somebody just to go out and get buprenorphine and then you're going to be cured, you're going to be okay. It's just, you know,
I don't know.
I don't know about the essential oils. I have to learn more about them. I was always recommended the aminos.
Well, that's where Tony can help, and that's where Swan can help as well. So this is what I'm getting at is we need to get everyone together because everyone has their own piece of the puzzle here, right? So everyone that way, when we get together, we can put all the pieces together and create the big picture. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're doing, and we will get there.
We are there. I don't speak in past tense. We are there.
We are.
We need to stand there. That's why I have such a hard time with people, and I deal with it all day. You know, you can't do this, and you don't do that, and you won't do this, and shouldn't do that. And I said, please change your speak because you're uncreating everything that you've just created. So we are there.
Look what you've done. Look at what this show's done, though. It's taken people who on these obscure areas of the planet that had the keys to different areas of it and brought them together. That's a miracle in itself. It's just so...
That's all of our life's work come together in one place.
Yes, at the same time, you know, it just blows my mind. I have so much gratitude.
It's a reason, you know?
The only reason.
Sorry, it took me 4 decades to figure out I was a son and daughter, okay?
Okay. Well, you can any other time, Carlin.
No.
Hey, you know, repeat the next time, okay?
I know. Well, I'll tell you, I'm gonna grab the right fucking body next time. I'll tell you that much.
I think you just find the way you are.
Oh yeah. I have my moments, and we'll leave it at that. But the truth of the matter is, you know, and all the learning that we've all been through. I mean, this brings, you know, Santo into the picture, Bill Donnie.
I was just gonna say, and Santos is right there with
amazing gathering of angels, and it's, you know, it's people like Santo and Bill and so many others. Tony, everybody, you know, it's where I get to be a collective gatherer of this beautiful reflection that I'm seeing that helps me put my own pieces together, and then I share those, and then we...
Ultimate convergence.
It is. This is the gathering of angels, and Rick, you have no idea how much support you've got. You have no idea. Yeah, and people, I mean, it is doing the simple things. It's like I was talking with someone the other day about, you know, where do I... It's difficult for me because I don't have anything in system, right? So I don't have, like, bank accounts, nothing. So I'm kind of running blind. Same with Laura and Tony, as far as being able to get access to things like hemp seed and stuff like that. But there are people out there now that it's beautiful, ask and you shall receive, and... What we need to do, and I love this, is just take seeds. You know, like even Tony was saying, three seeds will do it. But make little miniature hemp seed grenades and just plop them everywhere.
I love potato bomb them.
Oh, exactly. And the best part is throw a bunch around the local cop shop. Throw them around the local courthouses. In the newspaper, 4,300 plants found growing alongside Guelph City courthouse.
Well, it's pretty easy to walk around with a handful of seeds and scatter thousands of them.
Well, hey, I tell you,
get people to flash mob all over the planet in that asinine way. Certainly we could get them to do that.
And I got to tell you, here's the proof in the pudding, Rick. I smuggled 5 apple trees out of the Milton jail.
You smuggled 5 apple trees.
Yeah.
How did you manage that one?
5 seeds in my pocket from an apple.
Okay, that makes good sense.
Right. So
actually, I always recommend that people eat those apple seeds. The seeds from 2 apples every day is a good dose of B17.
Is it really?
Oh yeah, it has the same thing as apricots. It's got the laetrile in it.
Oh, good to know. See, I just learned something. Oh, I'm always happy when I learn something. But you understand what I mean, though, and you're right about the seeds. You could put 1,000 seeds in your pocket and not even notice it. And then just every dozen or 20 steps, just take a couple out and just scatter them onto some dirt somewhere.
It's 1,000 pounds.
Well, if you just had 100 or 150 people in England doing this, it would drive the authorities insane. There's no question.
Square root of 1.6%.
I'd like to use deficiency at Earth.
You broke up there. Go again.
I'd like to get Rick some information on what I work on and see how it ties in with his, and I'd like to look at his stuff. So
you have his Skype. I've already given you his Skype.
Okay,
He's got yours, and you've got Lewis's, and I've passed Juan's on everybody. So, hey, son and daughter, I know my job.
Thank you, darling. I'm going to go. Tony, good to talk to you. I'll get that out this evening at some point for sure. Take care of yourself. And thanks, guys, very much. It was really, really informative tonight. Thank you.
And I'll chat with you later, maybe?
Yeah, I hope. I will. Talk to you in a bit.
Okay, love you. Take care.
Love you too.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, dear.
Bye, thank you.
Absolutely. So, are we still running here? Yeah, we're still running on the recording. Unbelievable. And Jim's still there, too.
I can't ever get out of here.
You just got to hang up.
I am?
Right. Here,
you don't have my computer, man.
Do you want me to do it for you? Oh, she got it. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
Jim, are you still there? He must have walked away from the phone. He'll be recording. I know that. So, and this is all on the archive, so people can download everything we've been talking about since we went off the air. So this is why I don't mind running the shows past, to make sure that we get the information out and then some.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Whereabouts in Canada?
I'm in Nova Scotia. I'm from Nova Scotia.
Oh, right on. I'm about an hour west of Toronto right now. I'm originally from Belfast.
Belfast?
Yeah. Irish freak.
Irish freak. There's a lot of good people in Ireland.
Oh, yeah, we're shit disturbers.
Well, the world needs more shit disturbers.
Oh, yeah, and don't worry, they're showing up in droves. It's amazing because people aren't buying the lie anymore. They're not buying into Opt. They're not buying into Occupy this. They're not buying into any of the bullshit anymore. They're seeing it, and then they go, no, that's, and it's just amazing. It's all these beautiful bullshit barriers are popping up everywhere, and everyone's just getting beautifully directed on this very narrow path. And for people, I wish people could see what I tossed at me every day. It's beyond stunning.
Well, I'm more or less going through the same.
As well.
Yeah, and as far as the birth certificate, I gave you a document. That is the most ultimate truth I have found. We have to save the children, and in doing so, we will save ourselves. And we need to claim our children back. We need to stop the fraud, because they had to get mom and dad to initiate the aid and abetting into fraud using the birth certificate. And that is the original trap, and there it is. It has been sprung. They're doomed.
I really appreciate that information, brother.
That's what I've been doing. That's my job. I've shredded a lawyer or two in my day.
Good.
and
they need to be shredded.
Yeah, and we got a few on side now too. So actually, we should probably get him in touch with John. Was it Carton? Tony?
Sorry. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. It's John Carton, right?
Yeah, but let's take this one step at a time.
One step at a time. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying about getting people connected. So I'm just
that's one of the questions that I was going to ask. Is it okay, Rick, if we give your information to certain people?
Oh yes, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
right.
Yeah.
So I have your permission to pass on your contact details.
Well, in the near future, like I said, I'll be going back to Europe. So right now, I'm using my girlfriend's Skype, and that's Music Leah.
Yeah.
But when I go back to Europe, I'll be under bondsman.rick2.
Okay. Well, yeah, you have our contact, and don't worry, we're going to keep you very close to the fold here to make sure that what you're doing gets out there, because it has been world-changing, it has been world-shaking, and everyone that is doing what they're doing in their respective fields is changing the whole picture. I used to describe it, if you can visualize a beach with trillions of grains of sand, that every wave that washes the shore turns over one grain of sand, that entire landscape is changing forever. The beach will never look the same. And what's happening now is the waves are getting bigger and more sand is being turned over.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? As people, I don't really look at myself as being any more important than anybody else in this movement. We're all playing our roles.
Exactly.
And, and they're all very important.
Equally.
So, I mean, the goal here is to achieve victory, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, the intention's there, and this is what we've been focused on. Is I don't care how you get to Rome. I don't care if you take a bike, you take a bus, you take a plane, or whatever. We're all in the same direction now. And what's happened over the last few months alone is all of the forces have coalesced. Dean Clifford, myself, you name it. Everybody is actually on the same page, and the iron is hot, and we are striking. And it's like Swan said on the show last week. For a decade, she's a visionary, and for a decade, all she's been hearing is no, not yet, no, mankind's not ready yet. And yesterday, she came on the show. She had to come on because I've been talking with her on the side for a little while, so it was kind of mind-blowing to see her show up last night. And she said last night she got the word, green light, green light, green light. All systems go. Humanity's ready.
Good. Well, folks, but I have to cut it short myself because I'll have a ton of emails here I'll have to answer. But,
yes, you will. And I have a group that I'd like to add you into. It's a very busy group. You're going to want to put your Skype on to do not disturb or remove the sounds, because there's a lot of people in there that you can connect with, and they're the ones that want to help you. So whatever you need, just post it. Say, listen, I need this, 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 and this, and watch what happens.
Okay, brother, that sounds good.
Okay, so I guess we'll wrap up the show here. Much love to everyone on the show tonight. Louis Montague, Rick Simpson, and of course Swan coming in, Laura Ann Wooldridge, and who else? We had Jim calling, and of course Tony Z, the Wonder Boy himself, and of course myself, Kate of Gaia. Much love to everybody. Great big thanks to Critical Mass Radio Online for giving us this platform. We'll catch you guys on Tuesday night. We have Janice Barcello joining us, or Barcello, I'm not sure, either or, but she'll be on Tuesday night with us from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, midnight to 2 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And tomorrow night, don't forget, we're live on video with QL Television from 7-ish to 8-ish. Links will go out through Facebook. Of course, you can get me at kate.rene.5, kte.rene.5. Thank you all so much for listening. Much love, and we'll catch you tomorrow.
God bless.
God bless. Okay.